Hello and welcome to a special food coma for the Persona franchise. I am your host, Moonlight150, and joining me today on this look back on the Persona franchise before Persona 3 Reload launches this Friday. As of this recording, it is Tuesday night. So with me today we have Dark,
Hey, how's it going?
and we got BeefHammer.
Hey everyone.
So this one's going to be a little bit more of a casual because there's so few of us on this, and it's kind of weird because we're going over a franchise before a different iteration comes out, or at least a remake of a different iteration. So we're just going to be talking about our favorite moments throughout the franchise, specifically 4 and 5, what we're excited for with 3 remake, and maybe even more beyond that. Maybe we'll talk a little bit Persona 6 if we feel like it. But we got some nice topics here to go over that Dark has laid out for us. So I guess I'll hand it over to him for that.
Can you let them know where to find us first?
Yeah. I mean, you can always find us on YouTube, Spotify, and various other streaming platforms that I don't have pulled up right now. But they are all in the description. So check out the description. There's usually fun stuff in there.
I have that right here. Yeah, we are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Amazon Music and Audible. So if you guys ever want to see some more of what we do, check us out there. So yeah, just like Moon mentioned, this is mainly gonna be about Persona 4 and 5. We're not gonna get into 3 too much because the remake's literally about to drop. But let's start off with you guys' history of the series and where you guys stand with it. Let's go with you first, Moon.
My
Okay.
history starts. Actually, there's a really long history, and I don't know how much I'll get into it, but Persona 5 is like a special game to me that I think we all have that one game that we hold above all else for specific reasons that are very personal. And that's Persona 5 for me. So what happened, how I found myself to Persona was I like a couple other people I've come to find out is the ultimate marketing machine that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate announced Joker for Smash. Um, that didn't grab my attention like right away. I kind of knew of the character, but I wasn't really like too into it at the time. I wasn't like too big into JRPGs outside of like Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts at the time. But then a streamer that I watch occasionally, HMK, he decided to do a playthrough on his Twitch of Persona 5 to get excited for Joker joining Smash. And as of watching that stream, like I didn't watch his full stream, but I just watched bits and pieces. And I'm like, oh wow, this actually seems like a really cool game. And I started learning more about it, the characters and the combat. And I'm like, this is really cool. So I ended up buying Royale when it came out. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with the game. That's like the longest game I ever blew through, the quickest probably. I think I blew through it in like less than a month, which is crazy considering it's like a 120-hour game. And I made sure to do um, the third semester. Why I couldn't think of that word, all in one go because yeah. Then regarding Persona 4, the reason why I forgot about Persona 5. And then Persona 5 led me down to where I am today with JRPGs and even Western RPGs in general too for a lot of them. So I have Persona 5 to thank for that of like where I am in my gaming atmosphere. It like me opening myself to JRPGs opened me up to a lot more other genres. But then moving on to Persona 4, I just played it last year because I wanted to get more into the series because the rumors of I don't think Persona 3 Reload was announced officially yet.
Oh, wasn't there was rumors of it though.
Yeah, there were rumors of it around the time that I played Persona 4, which was I think it was around May last year. So I with that circling around, I was in a Persona moods, and they just got announced for Game Pass like that following holiday. So I'm just like, it's time to finally do it. And I enjoyed Persona 4 for what it is. I have my gripes with it, but it's mainly just for it being an old game rather than what's actually in the game itself. But I still enjoyed it immensely. As if you watched the Soggies, you saw it was my game of the year. That was a backlog game. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say for that.
What about you, Beef? What's your history with the series?
Yeah, I have the weirdest history with it. I don't remember exactly why, so I guess I start. My first one was 3, and it was just before Joke on Smash, like literally just before. I think I was only talked about it or like heard about it because I was in a mood looking for older games, and if you're looking for JRPGs, especially really good ones, you eventually will find Persona. And most fans these days will just tell you, start with 3. That's like before that, they're very different. So I played it emulated because I'm a thief, and actually really liked it to the point that I've said for a long time. I think 3 is like one of, if not my favorite games ever. And then obviously wanted me to keep playing the other ones, so like wanted to play 4 next, which I probably should have, but I knew the best version was Golden, and I didn't have a Vita, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to wait on that. And I didn't even have a PS4, but I was gonna get one anyway, so when I got my PS4, got Persona 5 pretty cheap, thankfully. Played that, and then finally went back to 4, and then eventually like started playing Royale when that dropped, and now looking for Persona 3. So yeah, I played them like all over the place.
It's pretty interesting. You're one of the few people who actually played them in order. Like when you talk to a lot of people, they just jumped in wherever. It's
Yeah,
always different.
I think I heard a little about Persona 5 when it came out, but I don't know, like again, I didn't have a PlayStation at that time, and even though I heard, even from people who don't like JRPGs, were like, "Oh, this game is great," it just didn't like register to me. So yeah, I was like, if I'm starting with anything, I was gonna start with 3. So emulating it's not that hard, and even back then, people like, oh, you could do Fez or you could do portable. There was no definitive edition. Like I went with Fez. Thankfully, I think that's better, but yeah, so it's a weird journey.
Mine's is kind of weird too. Well,
Yeah.
Mine is more straightforward. Um, yeah, Xbox announced it for Game Pass. I knew what it was. I knew what Persona was, but I never played it because I don't have a PS. I was always interested in it, but I never played it. And this is one of the few games I didn't look anything up for. I remember there was people talking about how long it took for, I think it was Royal to get localized. That was a big conversation, but it took a hot minute. So it was in Japan exclusive for a bit, and then it came to the West months afterwards. So I heard about it through that. Then Xbox announced it for Game Pass, and I immediately jumped into 5 and fell in love with it. And then went to go play 4 and 3 afterwards. And that's pretty much how I went. That's my whole story of it. But yeah, so everyone here's played multiple Persona games at this point, and one thing that's always been a constant throughout the Persona games is the Velvet Room, and how there's always a new attendant. I wanted to know who's your guys' favorite attendant, just throwing it out there. How about you, Moon?
So spoiler alert for a lot of my answers. It's going to be a lot of Persona 5 answers, but I do
Yeah.
like Caroline and Justine just because they are this chaotic twin energy. And then, spoiler alert, I just lost her name.
I think it's
Lavenza.
Lavenza.
Lavenza. I wanted to call her Lucia for some reason. Lavenza. She's fine. I actually prefer the twins over Lavenza because I don't know. I think just found them more entertaining. But I mean, I don't dislike anyone. At least from what I've seen, I'm gonna be the Outlander here and have very little knowledge of Persona 3. Most of my Persona 3 knowledge comes from just internet osmosis of just various things that have been mentioned, but I don't know the full story. I just know like little tidbits here and there, and I know of Elizabeth. I've seen her around, and she seems fun, so I look forward to that. But just the chaotic twins, I always enjoy. Like they're I don't want to call them dates, but their social links were always a blast for me in Persona 5, just because of how awkward they were.
Yeah.
How
Well,
about
I'll go.
you? Yeah, how about you,
Yeah,
Beef?
I'll go next. Well, obviously those two, they're not dates, but they're a lot more like dates in 3 and 4, I'll tell you that, Moon. Because I think we're all different. Because I said Margaret from 4 was my favorite, which is mostly just appearance, being honest. Well, I
Yeah.
guess
Oh, I
also
get that.
person there. Like
In
little,
terms of
like
appearance, she has the best one.
it's probably the most generic, like what I expect. I mean, I guess it also depends if you like, Elizabeth. Which is weird too. You think I like Elizabeth the most just because I played 3 first, but it's not that I
She's
also
like the
like.
opposite of Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's what I mean with like but it's like no, I don't dislike any of them, but it's just like I don't know. There is also a weird tension between you you and four. I believe you and is in the character too. Is also his name, but and like Margaret, she is pretty blatantly attracted to him. Although especially if you play those spin-offs, there's probably even more to like Elizabeth, which I can understand why. Maybe that's why you went to dark. But yeah, for me, it's Margaret is mine.
If you
I also
do,
I have to
if you
mention
do,
that
oh,
I
there you
never
go.
started Margaret's social link in my playthrough of Persona 4 because I never
Ac-
got the persona that she needed to
Yeah,
start it.
Actually,
her social link's pretty rough.
that is weird. Actually, I did forget about that. Yeah, it is strange.
So the thing is, if you complete her social link, She does end up kissing you on the cheek, but
Yeah.
I
that's
did
how it
see
ends
that.
up. But yeah, was never able to finish it either, but it gets really rough later on. Yeah, and like Beef mentioned, my favorite is Elizabeth. Even without like the fact that she has like the most to her character with the spin-offs, just in the base game, she's so energetic and upbeat. She's really goofy too, and it's hilarious. She's always like a blast to be on screen, and that's why I really, and like, when you go into her character. I'm not gonna get into like the details. It fits so well with the theme of the game that I don't think a Velvet Room attendant has been able to match that energy that she's able to put out. And then one more before we get into the actual meat and potatoes, everything. What's your guys' favorite game in the series?
I
5
guess, yeah.
Royal.
Yeah, and I've said 3, and I feel like 3 Reload is probably going to further cement that just because, it's going to have upgrade gameplay and it looks amazing from what we've seen. So I fully expect 3. I mean, they're all pretty close, but I expect 3 to hold that position.
Yeah, my favorite one is for Golden. Just the campiness and everything of that story really clicked in. But 3 is also like right there to the point where Reload might be able to surpass it if it does enough. I don't know. I'll have to wait to see how till after I beat it. But yeah, that's our ranking. So I'm gonna go straight into Persona 4 and then we go into 5 and so on, etc. But yeah, what do you guys think of the story for P4 and the murder aspect, the murder mystery aspect of it?
I
I'm a
guess
You can go
sucker
first, one.
for I'm a sucker for murder mysteries and just in general. Like a lot of the books I read, a lot of the shows I watch are murder mysteries. So that was like right up my alley. That is one of the few things I will give Persona 4 over Persona 5 is I do enjoy the small town murder mystery plot of it. Um, but yeah, that's really about it. I just really like that setting, and it'll always be a favorite genre of mine, no matter what medium, movies, TV, video games.
Yeah, well, to touch on that too, Moon, like it's kind of I'm trying to think of this. There's not many JRPGs, especially because of how long they are, that do like the murder mystery, and especially P4 is like obviously not a typical murder mystery. It's very weird
Yeah,
as is. So
Only other JRPG I can think of is Danganronpa that handles murder mystery like that. Oh,
yeah,
and
and that's
they I get the Somnium Files, which is also really good if you guys haven't played it.
I need to play that.
yeah. Well, yeah, because the one problem I always think about it is because like I'm always worried about this was is it getting spoiled? Because it was almost spoiled for me, obviously, because a lot of people like have to talk about it, and I feel like especially if you even see marketing for the like spin-offs, you might kind of figure it out. But I do still like it, especially especially though like the murder aspect, like well specifically who it is kind of takes a back seat. It's more about we gotta just save whoever it is this time. So, but I do like I think it like helps a lot, and especially for a small town like Moon says, it is perfect. It really helps with like the small town aspect.
Yeah, so I played it after 5. So 5 was very bombastic and it was like a big grand scale. But I liked when it was more focused on the small town where you get to know next to everyone inside of the town, and it felt more interconnected like that. And you start to care for these people to see who's getting murdered next and stuff, etc. I thought it was really interesting how they handled it. And leading right into it, what did you think of the cast and eventually, like, when it was revealed who the murderer was? What were you guys' reactions to that? You can go first, one.
I already knew the murderer going in, so that wasn't a big surprise. But I think it was definitely like if you actually somehow go into Persona 4 without knowing, it is pretty well hidden. I'd say, like there's not too much
That's
you can
pretty hard to
catch on to
tell.
know who it is. Yeah. And there
Yeah,
is there was almost no like red herring like a lot of mysteries do where they try to point you to one person. They never really did that. It was always up in the air almost like to the very end. And I
I mean,
kind of appreciate it for that.
they kind of did, because with the TV guy,
Yeah.
where he was literally a hair, like, because the whole thing with P4 is that it's based off of legends and everything. So that guy from the TV, he represents like a hair, I think, or something it was. So they're kind of like, hey, if there's a red herring, it's probably this guy.
yeah.
But yeah,
It's it's also very weird because I specifically remember when it comes like you have to make a choice in the game. It lets you choose any NPC. I do remember thinking like I choose it now. Like I feel like like you do have to kind of think about it because it does just kind of come up without like anyone making it crystal clear. Because yeah, I know plenty of people who assume it's gotta be like someone like a party member, but yeah, So it wasn't. I guess so. Yeah, it was surprising me, and they kind of do. The game goes on for a while, and they do explain it well. But
By the way, we can
yeah.
talk about who the killer is. You can say who it
All
is.
right, this
This
is
is
your
just with
last chance,
fully
people.
spoilers. Yeah.
This is your last chance, people. Yeah, because it's Adachi. It's your, which kind of works, especially in retrospect. Like looking through everyone, it's like he kind of does stand out as like he's there, but he's not like someone
He's
like
not happy to be there.
trustworthy. Yeah, he's not trustworthy. He's kind of like picked on. He is like he just shows up. It's actually a little easier probably in Golden because they added his
Yeah, it
social
was
link
pretty
doesn't
like a
even
like
exist.
that giveaway, but he has a social
Yeah,
link.
I that's probably also why I think it's different. Is I did play vanilla originally for a bit, and he's not in the game. And I was very confused, like because I saw some
Yeah, so
guys were
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things where like in either version he's suspicious. Because if you play the original, he doesn't have a social link. You're like, okay, it's kind of weird, but how much he pops up in
mm.
the story. But then in Golden, he has a social link. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's. I feel like they may have like done that because like they were like we should make this a little more obvious because you meet Adachi a bit, but you probably know so little about him. That's probably why you don't
The way
think
that it's
about it.
handled too is like, I forgot when exactly his social link starts. Because it doesn't happen right away. It happens a bit later.
No,
But when it happens, it's very obvious. Okay, yeah, this guy's the killer.
I think his Archon is literally like the Joker.
Yeah,
I'm
it
actually
is.
pretty certain. So it's like, okay, so they probably made it more obvious. I don't know if that was like because it was an issue with four. I remember I played with my roommate. He wasn't like he was having like some trouble thinking about it when we did play it, but he does like still stand out among all the other NPCs the most.
And what do you guys think about the cast of P4? Let's start with you, Beef.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love the cast. I think I've seen this like discussion a lot. I think people kind of feel like four might have the best cast. They do, which that's the other thing. I think compared to like five and three, it does feel like the most like a high school friend group, at least in my opinion, where it's like, you're not like three, we all just kind of like dorm mates, or five, we're almost a superhero team kind of, and like these real over the top characters. And I think again that probably does come from the small town aspect. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I love
The
that
thing with
cast. I don't
five,
really have a problem.
I love all the cast, but the thing with five is that they every feel larger than life. It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
relate to them. And the thing with P3, everybody hates one another. That's like one of the cool aspects of P3.
they're more
They're
they're
not, they're, well, they're not hate's a strong, but they're not like, they would not normally hang out
they're
with one another
colder.
unless
They're a
the
little
situation.
Yeah, they're like colder because it's like well more. It really is more like dorm mates, which you literally are like dorm mates than like friends. I'd say, which I still
But then,
like. But yeah,
yeah, and they go from P4, it felt very, and it fits with the theme of the small town. You get really close with these characters and you get to learn them better than it. And I think their stories too are better than all the other casts. That could just be just me. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. What about
well
you,
the
Moon?
I do agree that the P4 cast definitely feels the tightest knit. I think that has to do with the small town aspect. But I also appreciate in 5 where you have this I guess really what it is a rebel group and they're all banding together under a cause that they all believe in. So it feels more like a community thing. So I guess it will side on just what do you prefer? Do you like the small tight knit group or do you prefer like this rebel army building up? Because not only do you have the Phantom Thieves, but you have the fan site also working with them. So it's like this they're leaders of a rebellious cause, which is the whole theme of the game, is rebelling against what you don't think is right. So it's like two sides of the same coin. Neither is right, neither is wrong, and both are good. They they set out to do their own thing, and I think they both excel in what they do. And it comes down to just personal preference.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off before Beef. Do you had anything to
I
say?
the one thing yeah, and I just remembered this. What I think is also like why they might stand out more, like on the most. This is some people may not even know this if you haven't played three. There's or at least in four, the dungeons are centered around one person. Same with five. Like you meet them associated with a dungeon, which doesn't really happen in three because it's all one dungeon. So I think that also helps. Is like every every
That's true.
month or so, like we're gonna focus on this person, introduce you to them, which I think just helps so much more.
Yeah, because they appear on the TV and then you see like their shadow right away. And then you have to go into their dungeon, which is literally like the manifestation of their desires and shit. or like what they're hiding, depending on the character. And you do learn a lot about them. I know Resets is pretty wild in Peace 4.
Yeah.
Every Persona, you mentioned it before, every Persona game has a different Velvet Room and different Velvet Attendant. Well, the limousine. This is like the coolest like the Velvet Room I've seen
Limousine
so
is
far.
hilarious.
What do you guys think about the limousine?
I
It's
don't know
awesome.
what to think. I don't know what to think about the limit, at least like from a metaphorical, like, what is
Oh,
it
so you
supposed to
want the
mean?
story standpoint from it?
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's do
So
that.
the story standpoint, there's a very long and well documented like documentary on Persona 4. I forgot the guy's name who made it. You can look it up. He went really in depth about this. But Persona 4 is always about seeing the truth. Like truth is a big theme in Persona 4. And in the you need when they go to like the other world, you need the glasses to be able to see because of the fog. So the limousine is like that the headlights are pushing through the fog. That's what it is.
Okay, that makes. I was like, I think I remember something about that. Because in 5, it's like it's a
You're
jail.
in prison. Yeah.
It's so blatant. 3, I kind of remember there being something about the elevator, but
Yeah, P is the elevator because you're climbing the floors with hard dress.
yeah,
Yeah, I was about to
but
And
say,
then
like, what is 3?
it,
it's a big elevator, like a express elevator.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, 5
I
really
will
And then
does.
say, like, special shout out to the that mobile Persona 5 game that's out. That Velvet Room is awesome if you've seen footage of that.
isn't it like an aquarium?
Yeah, it's like underneath an aquarium.
That
It's
is
so cool
cool.
looking. Like, I want to play that damn game.
They're gonna port it eventually. There's no way they don't. But yeah, the limousine Velvet. Ryu was just like the coolest guy. I swear to God. I think out of the three protagonists, he's probably like the one that has the most cool shit happen. Besides
Oh
like
yeah,
maybe Joker.
he's the Riz Lord.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
so this next part is a little bit. I want to try my best to explain like what I wanted to go at this point. What did you guys think of the base game's ending? Because I think the base ending of P4 is really bad, but then Golden fixes it completely. What did you guys think about that?
What is the base game's ending?
So you defeat Adachi, and he gives the reason to why he was killing everybody. And then you go up against the eyeball. Forgot what their name was.
I don't remember its name. Yeah.
It's a big ass eyeball, which is like the big god figure, and then the game ends.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It definitely feels like it stands. It all again is stands out the most of all of them, and not in a very good way. Where it just is like feels like it kind of could just end with Adachi, but they wanted to kind of
They needed a
push it
big
a little
bad.
more.
They need a
And
god somehow in the
they
story.
always push into God, and this one kind of felt like
Literally
it
every
needed the
JRPG
late.
ever needs that.
Yeah, it's like it probably needed the least, like, but so
I mean, not even
yeah,
that. Just like Adachi's reasoning and the whole like the reveal of Adachi was cool, but his reasoning behind it was literally he just did it just because.
yeah,
It
he
did
is
not hit for
psycho.
me. I was like, what the fuck is this? I
Yeah,
don't know about
it's
you
like
guys. How I felt about it.
it's the weird. It's like I mean, that's why I'm like, it's the weirdest one because like it's so like supposed to be contained, but they kind of don't push through with it. It's like we still gotta have you kill a god at the end. I that's why I don't remember it so much. As all I remember is, yeah, you be Adachi, and then like all of a sudden it's like we'll keep going, and there's like the eyeball of truth is like the last one, and they kind of like talk about it and like how it relates to the theme of truth, but it is still like I'm not entirely. It's like the ending is very weird.
Like if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I remember it was something like it was God testing humanity. So it was like a giant
Yes.
eyeball camera thing. It was testing the humanity to see how they would handle the fog and everything, to see if they can prove themselves worthy. It was like a big
I
challenge.
I think they all the gods in 3, 4, and 5 all say like the same thing with different
Three's
reasoning
different.
still.
Three's different. Three's.
But
I'm not gonna get to three, but yeah.
yeah, you'll play it, people. You'll play it.
But so I wanted to bring that up as Golden changes quite a bit about the ending. I feel like Golden's ending is perfect for the game. The fact like at the very beginning of the game they slip it right in front of you, where you shake the gas station attendant's hand and you get the headache. That's gonna fly over everyone's head, and that's like the start of everything. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I like it for the reason you said because yeah, no one would get it. I think when you like get towards that uh special ending or a secret, it's almost secret ending because you do have to do a few things, and like there is that moment where it's like you have to think he like talks about like, oh, you have to think about like what did
You
you
have to
do,
think
like,
back. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like what did you do in town before you got like the powers to go into the TV, and you have to think what the heck, how's this game even started? I've been playing for 90 hours, so it works. And again, it does still like, I think is a Nami, it's something like that. They
Yeah,
talk
it's a
about
Nami.
like they talk again like about like why the reasoning is, and it does work a bit better. But yeah, it's still, I do think that's actually still pretty interesting, and I like it.
The only negative thing that I would have to say about P4 is how easy it is to miss. P4 has a lot of dead ends where the game would just end. Like there's a scene with Nanako where like she's in the hospital. If you choose the wrong answer, your game will end.
Yeah.
The same thing with P to get the golden content of P4, the game acts as if it's ending, and you have to go against it. And I
Yeah,
think
I
you have
remember.
to
I
fully
remember reading
max
that
out.
warning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was warning you. Like I remember warning you specifically, but I was like, yo, this game will just end on you.
Yeah. 5 makes it a lot harder to like miss. Like even without, especially Royals a little more because you have to go with specific NPCs.
Just
But in
you need
original,
to
it's
go against everybody, and you gotta fully max out Mary's social link. And I think in
yeah,
P5 you have to max out that Akechi's.
yeah. So
Marukis.
it's, well, that's for
No,
Royal. Well, no, and
wait,
I
did you
forget
have
which
to?
one it
Oh no,
is.
you had to max out Akechi and Maruki. I forgot.
Yeah,
That's right.
And Royal.
But yeah, what did you think of the golden content? Moon.
fine. Well, it's hard to compare it to the original since I didn't play it, but
Mhm.
the I did enjoy what was near the end, and I feel like that a lot of that is the golden content, and it feels like a better ending to from what I'm hearing of how it just kind of the original Persona 4 just kind of ends in a lot of very typical JRPG fashion. It's like you learn your bad guy. There's an even bigger, bad, mysterious, godlike monster, and you got to defeat that. That we've seen that a million times. So it's nice to have just a little something more with the golden content. Just makes it just a little bit more special. So I agree. It's like it's for the better. It's definitely for the better. Plus, it
I
gave us
like
Maria. Maria was awesome.
Well,
I
yeah,
like the
I
way
was
that it
just
was woven in, and we can get to Mary in a second. But with For's golden content, it was mixed in a way that it was always there. Like you didn't feel like, oh, this is definitely added on. It felt like it was part of like the whole story going on. But yeah, we can get into Mary and how she was. What do you think, Beef?
I don't know what to think
Mary, by the
about
way, is
Mary.
she's the she's the new character added for the golden edition. She's
The one
like
with the
Yeah.
a
blue hat.
pseudo velvet room attendant.
Best waifu.
It
Mary was
yeah.
great.
It's definitely the weirdest one of the. It's funny. Everyone's like, every new Persona game, like how they do it. It's a new girl. There's the Persona. There's the protagonist in 3 Portable, and then you got Marie, and then you got Kasumi. So it's always a new girl. But Marie is definitely like, I don't even know what to think about her. I think you saw in, like we were talking about beforehand, like no one knows her poems, and I remember the whole time like,
If he
what
has
the
like a
hell are
bunch
these?
of poems you
Yeah, I
randomly
don't.
find, it makes no
Yeah,
sense.
I don't know why they're in there. It's very weird, but I don't even know like what to think about it. And then like yeah, but it is nice that like you meet her and then like there's a content at the end. There's a dungeon with her, and that's yeah, that again helps. Like obviously it's more content, but like and it adds to the ending. It adds a lot more.
Before we continue, I would like everybody to know that we just had an extra addition to the podcast last minute. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, yes, it's me, Wolf. Yeah, I know. You
It's a
guys thought
boy.
you could go. You thought you could go a podcast without listening to my voice. So I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait
The
next week.
podcast now feels complete.
I was wa-
Yeah,
I was
unfortunately.
I was wondering where
Go
you were,
ahead.
Wolf. I was like, Wolf likes these games. What the heck?
Yeah, I do kind of like these games, surprisingly enough.
It's crazy.
Not, I'm filling in for Navi because unfortunately he couldn't make it. But yeah, I wanted to help Dark out because he was crying. He was DMing me, tears in his eyes, like, man, I can't do this with Moon and
That's
Beef only.
crazy.
No, no, but I'm interested to talk about Persona. I do love the franchise. I have only played 4 and 5 for context, so you guys are on 4, right? As
Yeah.
I can
Yep.
assume.
But
Yeah.
just to
So
catch you up, what's your favorite moment of the series and your history of it? Your favorite moment and your favorite game from what you played?
wow. Okay, that's a lot. I mean, okay. So like my history with the series is very much Persona 5. It kind of started. It was a funny thing. It was late 2017, early 2018, like January of 2018. I was watching kind of those like top 10 of the years videos, and I don't remember who the YouTuber was, but he put like Persona 5 at his number 2, and the way he kind of talked about it was like, "Oh, dude, this game has like life sim elements and like the gameplay," and like he talked all about it. It's like at this point I wasn't really a JRPG fan or like fan of the genre at all. Like my only exposure to the genre at that point was Pokemon and Paper Mario. So I was very, very light into that genre. So I decided to give it a shot. And it's kind of funny because my sister got Persona 5 because she thought it was a fighting game, like Persona 4 Arena, because she loves Persona 4 Arena. She thought Persona 5 was a fighting game too. Little did she know. So I just kind of bumped that copy off of her and decided to try it out and absolutely fell in love. So much so that like I played through the whole game, 100 hours, and I'm like, you know what? I got to do it again. And then I just did a new game plus run through, finished up all the social links. I didn't get everything in the game because that's absolutely insane. But like for the most part, I did very much do most of like what was available in that game because of how much I loved it. And then from there, I kind of like just did the Persona 5 spin-off stuff like Strikers, or I guess just Strikers actually. I don't think there were any others other than Tactica, and I skipped that one.
There was Tactica and there was the dancing game.
Well, you know what? The dancing. I want to actually play the dancing game because I love the rhythm games. But yeah, no, I never actually got around to the dancing games. But no, it really is just Persona 5, and then I eventually, like last year, played Persona 4 Golden, which is the one you guys are talking about right now. Also loved it, and yeah, no, I'm very much a Persona fan.
You know, it is nice to have Wolf here now because now we're more balanced. We have me and
true.
Wolf here who are only Persona 4 and 5, and then you got you other two who are all into Persona 3.
Oh, excuse me.
That's true.
It was my first one, you know. It's
Excuse us
special.
for playing games.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are Persona 5 haters. You tell them it's like, man, Persona 5 is really good.
I say
So
5 is.
that's the thing.
It's not as good as 4.
It's true.
That's Mike. That's Mike.
Nah, you're. Oh, okay. You know what? We're not gonna fight. I mean, all Persona is good Persona. That's all.
That's true.
Yeah.
I like all the games, but when you rank them, of course it's gonna be that thing of be like, okay, so you hate the other one, obviously. No, that's not the case. But yeah,
That's
do you
the
have a
problem.
favorite moment?
You got like
Favorite
nitpick.
moment
Yeah, favorite moment from what you've played.
in the entire series?
Yes.
You're gonna have to come back to me on that
I was
one.
gonna say,
You didn't even ask me that question. I have to think about that.
Oh,
Did I miss you?
You skipped Moon? Holy shit, Dark! What's happening? This podcast is on the shambles. Now I'm kidding.
You had to come rescue it.
Crazy.
No, I mean, favorite moment. I always was a fan of like kind of like starting up the Bank Palace, getting that like music. Obviously, Makoto, who's like one of my favorite characters in gaming general. And like that whole moment where she awakens her persona was always like a really strong sequence for me. Just
Like-
a fucking motorcycle that's so raw.
Wolf and I apparently have the same brain because I was literally about to say the same exact scene.
The bank is so sick, bro.
It's such
Like,
a good,
Yeah.
and her
man,
awakening is so different compared to like anyone else. Not only in 5, but as 4 as well. It's so different.
Okay, I know what my favorite moment is. Masayoshi Shido. The first phase, you're fighting like kind of like that lion moment, and then he turns into the triangle, and you got this like badass like violence. I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And then the second phase starts, and the fucking lyrics kick in. That's my favorite moment. That was the moment where I was genuinely stun locked for a second, like holy shit. I had to just sit there listening to the music because like that is something in gaming that needs to be done more. Just have a song and then add lyrics later, and it's like 10 times cooler. Like when they first play Life Will Change with lyrics, 10 times more hype.
That's very true. Where did we leave off in Persona 4? Oh yeah, we were talking about the golden content. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, so I only played Golden. So what did they just add Marie and those extra 2 dungeons post Dachi?
I mentioned it previously. So the way that base 4 ends is that you do a Dachi, you get the reveal, and then God rolls up and that's the end. You fight the giant eyeball god that was testing humanity, and then the game ends.
Okay, so classic JRPG, fight the god, and then the game just ends.
Yeah. I said that personally, if I'm not a fan of that ending, because I didn't like Adachi's reasoning for why he was doing the murders.
He was
And
bored.
it just felt. Yeah, it was literally he was just.
It makes
nothing
sense
else to
for
do
a
in a small
psychopath.
town.
He is very much a psychopath, or is it psycho or socio for him? Because like he doesn't really, because he just doesn't care about like the consequences. He genuinely
that's this whole thing. He doesn't care about anything.
Yeah,
he's just
like,
doing
I feel
it.
like, yeah, and I will say like I do think Adachi. I both like and dislike him as a villain. Where I like his like personality and the whole twist, but also it does kind of just feel random. Like, oh, I guess he's the murderer. Like I knew about the Adachi twist going into For Golden. That was the one thing I got spoiled on, and it was one of those things throughout the whole game. I'm like, all right, let me see if I could pick up on any of the tells, and there really wasn't any, unless I missed something substantial.
We were talking about it earlier, but the biggest tell is that when his social link pops up. That for me was like, I was like, okay. I was like, okay, why do you have a social link?
I mean, it made sense for him to have a social link just because of his character in the story. Like, he's your uncle's assistant in the police case, so he's definitely like at least a big supporting character. So it made sense for him to have a social link, more so than like Lady Death over here, that old lady, or that mom from the daycare. Like, why do they have social links?
I did not even meet the mom. Like, I'll be completely
dare
honest.
you.
I mean, we'll talk about
I met the
social
mom
links later.
once, and that was it. I never did that social link.
That one's crazy.
I
And I
mean,
think
that's actually. I'm sorry. We'll talk about social links later. Continue to.
yeah, I think it was Beef who mentioned that in base P4 he didn't even have a social link. So it's also kind of weird
No.
because, like you mentioned, a lot of psych characters have social links. Why doesn't he have one? Given how much he frequently pops up in the story.
There's a lot of weird characters like that. I was thinking about in 5 where Sai has like a social link that just progresses naturally. It's like, let me hang out with
Yeah.
Sai. Like, just let me hang out with her. You know, that'd be fun.
Yeah, then we talked about how natural it felt for the golden content to slip in with Izanami in the gas station, and how like most people won't even catch on to what happened at the gas station at the very beginning of the
The
game.
gas station was sick. Like just this goofy ass gas station attendant. My first thought when I saw it was like, I wonder why he's voiced. And then you realize why.
Yeah, it's the
And
old
then
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
then we went to Mary and how we did not understand her poems, and that's where we left off.
Okay, yeah, and I caught the tail end of that conversation. A lot of writers do this thing where they're just like, we're gonna be like really like subtle. Like, check out these poems. It's like, this is so dumb. Like, I don't think anyone's like over analyzing the poems that much, in my opinion.
They felt useless because everything in
Yeah, like,
Persona is connected or there for a reason. For one reason, is there for something, and then her poems are just connected to nothing.
I think it's
like
just
she's just yapping.
to like just flesh out the Marie character and just give you reasons to interact with her, I guess.
I mean, yeah, but they could have done better poems.
Can I be real? Is this a hot take? Poems suck.
They do
Poems
suck.
make no fucking sense. They are like the worst way to tell a story. It'll be like the flower blooms. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Just talk like a normal person, dude. It's so dumb.
I don't know if this is a hot take. Moving the topic along though, I think Persona 4 has the best music out of the three.
Oh
What do
yeah,
you
that's a
guys
hot
think?
take. No, that's just wrong.
Nah, I'm not gonna agree with that.
Yeah, okay. You did not listen to Take Over then. You played base Persona 5 then.
No, I played Royal. Now I like the more. I don't. What is it? Somber? I guess somber. 4 had a very somber tone, and I liked it. It worked very well for the theme and the story of the game, in my opinion. I've listened to
I think
a lot of 4's tracks like today. I just listened to 4 over 5 and 3.
it's so weird because like I feel like I tell myself I would listen to 4's OST, and I never did. I just added them all to my playlist, and I'm never in the mood to listen to that soundtrack. It's not that it's bad. It's just I don't think about it as much. Like, it's a good soundtrack, but like 5 has just a much more unique and very much
Yeah.
approach to jazz, a lot of guitars and stuff. And I feel like 4 is kind of just like JRPG music. Not bad, but like I just don't. It doesn't stand out in my mind the same way like a Yakuza, like a Dragon OST. Like, I think about that OST all the time.
The only ones that stand out to me for 4 are I just lost their names. It's pretty much like the two biggest ones. The fight
Like
theme.
the final battle theme. That one I liked.
Heaven and
Yeah.
what is the other one? I forgot his name too.
Are you talking about the
Keep
battle
talking.
themes?
Yeah.
The battle themes
Are-
pretty much are what I usually attach to.
The palace themes are good, but like
They're
I liked
okay.
what was her name? The little sister, Nanako.
Nanako?
Yeah, Nanako's palace theme, like that had like
Yeah,
a
that's
nice
Heaven.
emotional thing. Oh, one song, When the Fog Fully Takes
Oh,
Over.
I'll
That's
face
my
myself.
favorite.
That's the battle theme.
I'll face myself, but like to me, it's like the song that plays like in town when the fog is like takes over. That is genuinely like eerie. Like, I love just like that the slow realization that like you're running out of time. And every time you enter like a social link or do a new thing, it's like the fog is taken over. The fog is thick, and it's just like you hear this like somber, like really terrifying tone throughout the whole game as you're like and it's so funny because like I always do like social, like they were like, hey, we're gonna go into the palace and we're gonna finish it, and I do palaces in one day, so it's like, okay, let me do all my social links beforehand. So I just had like 20 days where I was just listening, dealing with this fog, but it really added to the atmosphere.
I agree. We didn't really cover the characters in depth when we were talking about what we thought of the cast. But yeah, what do you guys? Who's your favorite character of P4 and Social Link for that matter too?
um I for me, it's probably Yukiko, but I also really no, I think it's Kanji, honestly. Like I think
Kanji's a
about it
base.
more. It's Yukiko is like who I romance, and I genuinely do enjoy her personality, her whole laughing fit thing. I think she's genuinely an like entertaining character. But like Kanji's just a homie. Kanji to me is just like the definition of just autism. Like, he just doesn't understand any situation that he's a part of. He's like got this rough attitude, but he's just a big softy, which is just like a character trope I'm a big sucker for. So yeah, anytime I was able to hang out with Kanji, I tried to make sure that was the case.
I really like Naoto's. Naoto's was like the most unique to me. I'm not sure if you guys did it, but her
Yeah, I
whole
did.
thing was like
I did most of it.
it was like a pseudo spy story, and it was like connected to her. I think it was her father, either her father or her grandfather, where she would have to like solve this case of like trying to find one of her lost like trinkets that she
Yeah, I
really
remember.
enjoyed. And it
Yeah.
was really interesting.
The ending was sick.
It stuck with me a lot. She was also who I romanced. Naoto was great.
I tried to romance Naoto at the last second and
Naoto
finish the
was
story,
really
but I
hard.
just couldn't.
Naoto
Yeah,
was really hard.
she's
She
so
comes at the
late.
very end of the game, and she had like the most insane requirements.
I mean, Naoto's a little too like cool. Like I'm like, you're too cool for me. I need someone who's like a bit more like down to earth. I know that sounds stupid. You get what I mean, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
All right, I'll say it before
okay,
Moon
yeah, you go.
goes. I'll say Rise. She is the girly girl. She is the flirt, and I will take that any day of the week for my romance. At least for my romance, you know, because everyone like I like all the cast. Obviously, they all like none of them actually, although like I'd say stand out, but Rise stands out a lot in the game. I mean, a fuck ton. She is like uh attached to your hip, and it's almost kind of weird, but it's kind of cute to me, and I really actually like her. She's not she. I mean, yeah, it's probably more like that's just the kind of girl I like. But honestly,
He was
but
super
man,
clingy.
it's
That was
super
a thing for
clingy.
me that
But
put it
like,
off.
I know people who like because of that, they're like, I hate her, and I'm like, man, I'm okay
Yeah,
with
that's
that.
silly.
Like, you know what? It's fine for a girl to like you that. Well, maybe not that much. Like, we could take it down a lot of nugs, but to like you like that, um, I don't know, like forward. She is very forward. I don't even know why. Like she is. I think it's because like at least I think the anime touches on it a little more. Like you don't see her as like the idol, which I also think that's like a pretty good story. It's kind of generic, like oh, of course the idol, like famous person wants to like have a normal life, but I think they actually do pretty good job with it. Of like, yeah, she does just kind of want to live here with her grandma, make it nice. You know what? I'm okay with that. So I do like it, but I get like why everyone like. That's what I do think is good about four. I think everyone like has like something about them that people can find they like.
Yeah, I mean, Rise to me was like I enjoyed her character. Like she was definitely one I was like interested in maybe romancing, but it was annoying because like I was dating Yukiko and this motherfucker was still clinging on to me. It's like right in front of Yukiko,
That
and I'm like, bro, what is going on?
that is
He
the
was
funny
relentless.
thing. I couldn't imagine playing without like like trying to even if you like just go with like one person trying to not romance it because there are like scenes where she is just talking about you and if you aren't even like trying to romance her that's just kind of funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Even in the golden ending, when you save Mary from herself, and she goes and hugs you, she gets upset.
Yeah.
Risa gets upset. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
What about you, Moon?
I would go along with the Rise line. I think that's a nice story.
Yeah.
But also, just shout out to it's kind of a package deal, but the whole story arc that both Chie and Yukiko go through, where you kind of have this symbiotic relationship, and like they rely on each other a little too much, and then they learn to be more independent by the end of their individual stories, especially Chie. So that's what I really enjoyed too. And you're right though. Everyone has like this little thing about them that like you can't dislike anyone, and you're obviously going to be attached to at least one person that you think of the most. I think that friendship between Yukiko and Chie is also really nice, and I kind of attach that to that more. But I also do really like Rise's. Rise's who I romance. Granted, I was also seeing Marie on the side.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
god, SMH.
you can be with Mary and one of the main
Yeah,
females.
and
and
I
both
took full
females
advantage
cheating.
of that.
Dude, Dark kept telling me that when I was playing. He's like, you know, you can also romance Mary. It's like, bro, I am not cheating. Stop fucking like enabling this. He kept trying to tell me. I'm like, dog.
Moon mentioned that there's no one he
real-
thought that like. Oh, you can go.
Oh no, you were just about to go into my point. Go ahead.
Yeah, Moon mentioned that he thought that there's nobody you can really. I disagree with that. Have any of you guys did the music social link with the girl with the big cheeks?
Oh, well,
Oh.
what time? I was talking about main cast,
Oh,
but yeah, that
nah.
all the
Oh yeah, I was talking main
both
cast.
Oh, in terms
her
of main
and the
cast, yeah, but like,
drama.
I could not with that
I-
girl.
I went with
Nah.
the acting class girl, so I don't know why people don't like the cheeks girl.
I didn't mind her. You know what? I was actually very close to romancing her. Like I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do a side
Bro,
character instead
what?
of one of the gang, and I liked her.
You
mean the
did?
drama
I
girl?
couldn't stand her.
Because I could not like take at least the drama. I actually don't like either of them. That's not a good like choice. And if I played
Yumi's
again, I'm not
awesome.
picking either.
Oh wait, no,
I
I'm
don't
mixing
like
it up. I did
either
do
of
the
them.
music girl. I did the drama class girl.
Yeah,
Drama
so
class
me
girl is
and Moon
different.
did the same. Yumi's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Yumi.
Oh my god.
I don't.
What?
Music girl
she's-
was something else.
All I remember her is crying. I remember crying like
It's
the
all
whole
she does.
time.
Yes, because she
Well,
went
I'm
through
pretty-
serious moments.
I was like, if I remember, it is like a serious thing, which is much better than the musical. But yeah, that's
I
all
think
I
her
remember. Being
father
like,
was in the hospital, and you're just
Yeah, her
like,
father's,
oh
like, in
my
the
god,
hospital.
get over it.
I was probably younger. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't know how to deal with this girl. Like, we're just in the same class. I
You're
don't
a
know.
girl. No, okay, listen. Beef will probably hate me for this. I fucking hate Chie. Chie is one of the most annoying
Really?
video game characters of
I
all
like
time.
Chie. She's fun. I also was
She-
tempted to date her.
I think
He
it
was doing
really
it out of
just
spite. I remember
Yeah,
that.
No,
really?
granted, originally I was, but then we got to like the near end of her social link, and especially the last part where you're supposed to make a decision or not. I actually really like. Oh, I actually really like Chie now.
it,
I
it
don't know,
was
he
kind of.
acts too much like a bro. You know?
I mean,
She-
Yeah, that's why
she's just
that's why I subjected her to. It's like, no, you're a bro.
she's just too like I don't know. I think it's her
She's
voice.
loud.
I
She's loud.
honestly think it's the voice for me. Like it's just
Mm.
something about like her personality is so like abrasive to me. Where I love the like tomboyish girls and like games and stuff, but like for some reason Chie was just like way too much for me in this like cast that felt a lot more subtle and usual. Also, she just hated on my boy. What was his name? Main guy.
Yosuke?
Yosuke?
Yosuke. She was hating way too much on Yosuke. Yosuke would literally just be like, "Oh man, you guys want to get sushi later?" And she's like, "Yeah, fuck you, Yosuke, you dumb bitch." It's like, what the hell did he do? I'm so confused
He
half the time.
existed.
Why was
That was it.
she was so mad at Yosuke for literally just existing, and I don't know. It reminds me a lot of like when the characters just dog on Ryuji and 5 all the time. Where I'm like, guys, what did your friends like? What is this like? So like I dog on my friends all the time, but like this is aggressive. But it's I don't know, but I understand why people like GA. I just didn't like her. It was funny though, like she was just sitting at rank 2 the whole game, and she was like, "Hey man, you want to hang out?" And it's like, nope.
Like, fuck no.
There was one point in the game where it was like right at the end where it was either her and all my stats were maxed out. I had really nothing else to do except either like because like all the other social links weren't available except GA, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait until nighttime because I just didn't want to hang out with her that much. I don't know. It just turned into real hater hours for me with GA.
You brought up something I completely forgot about. But every Persona game there's the best friend.
Mm.
I think Yosuke's the best. Out of the three
Oh,
games, I think Yosuke's the
oh
best.
my. Ryuji is right there.
Ryuji's a
I
brilliant.
don't know. I think Yosuke was better than Ryuji.
This guy's biased, by the way. I wanna
They're
point that
pretty
out real
neck and
quick.
neck. Let's be honest, they're pretty neck and neck. But Yosuke was like,
I
I don't know, I connected more with Yosuke than Ryuji.
I think I can't agree with the neck and neck. It's like a tier below. I love Yosuke, but like to me, Ryuji is like that is a ride or die for life. The things that Ryuji was willing to do for you in that game, and just his whole social link. I mean, we'll talk about 5 later, but like Ryuji genuinely felt like a real friend at the end of the game, as parasocial as that sounds.
I mean, Yosuke was the same way.
Yosuke was like, you know, you're a homie, but like you're like, I know you're a video game character, but like Ryuji, I'm like, maybe this isn't a video game. Maybe this is like deeper.
Okay, but
Wolf was questioning like his reality while playing that game.
he's getting to his parasocial relationship.
It was turning parasocial with Ryuji, man. He was like the best friend. But no, I respect the Yosuke take. He is a great character.
It
How about
is
you, Beef?
funny how. And I was gonna say, it is funny how in this game, like, well, by the end you're supposed to be this super intelligent, charismatic person with all these friends. How you always have just that bro friend who just is like the dumbest guy. It's amazing, and that's why I think you guys, well, maybe not love, because then everyone's gonna get on me for not liking Junpei from 3. We'll see how people feel. I
He's
think
an idiot.
Junpei's
Junpei's
an idiot, but going back to Moon's point, he does have like an arc separate from the cast, like with another person you'll meet, which is actually people really do like, which I think again helps when there's like it's not all about the protagonist and these characters; they have like their own interactions. But unfortunately, I think I'm also going with Ryuji over Yosuke. Yosuke's a
man,
bit too Yosuke's a bit too, like, sometimes, like, especially the kanji, people, like, always get on him for, like, being, like, really weird around him. And I do think Ryuji is just a bro. I mean, he's also,
Yeah,
again,
Ryuji's
very
accepted.
dumb. They're all
Yeah.
very, very dumb.
That's
It's
true.
so weird.
Just their character.
That's what you want out of bro. You want a dumb guy as your best friend.
Yeah.
On top of that,
It's
like
what-
add on to that, every game has a mascot character. So P3, you have technically has 2, but you have Aegis and you have the dog. You have Teddy in P4. Teddy is the fucking goat. I fucking love Teddy. And then P5 you have Morgana. What do you guys think of Teddy Morgana?
Bro just said in P5 you have Morgana. Like, okay, show your biases harder, brother.
Morgana's fucking annoying. That's the thing.
Oh, you're insane. Morgana's awesome. I love Morgana. I think
That's
don't
what
know.
makes that's what makes Morgana a nice complex character. Is that yeah, he's annoying as shit sometimes, but also he's like your best friend too, who's like almost your
He's literally
conscience
the person-
sometimes.
He's the person you spend the entire game with. Teddy's just some bum you hang out with. It. And for clear, I like Teddy, but
Teddy
like
has a good
literally,
arc. Come on, that's
He's just crashing on
great.
Yosuke's couch.
yeah, he's just some like you see him every now and then. Morgana's a ride or die. Like by the end of that game, I'm like, yo,
No, so is
again,
Teddy.
parasocial. I thought Morgana was real.
Okay, buddy.
I'm kidding.
Wolf
No,
needs a
but,
cat.
No, I think that's unfair to Teddy because he does a lot for Nanako especially, and that whole arc with Nanako. I feel like Nanako is a very big thriving point, it pushes the story forward a lot. Nanako's arc for the game for P4, and Teddy's directly related to that with the hospital scene.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do love Teddy. I think Teddy is also incredible. Like it's the classic like two legends can coexist. You know, I love them both, but like I think one thing that kind of irked me a little about Teddy is this man was like like very much a womanizer, like trying to get with all the girls, and it's like
No, he
okay,
did. And he did.
I get he did. I don't know, like that character trait has never really done much for me. It's just not interesting. But like other than that, I do enjoy Teddy.
No, he can be annoying, but that's almost what's also good is they also kind of make him a punching bag for a lot of jokes,
Oh,
and that's why I also like when they make him. I'm like, all right, now you got some sympathy. If we'll laugh at you, that helps a lot.
For sure.
Who's your favorite out of the 3 Beef? You didn't mention.
I think yes, I think it might be Teddy for that reason. I mean, I want to say Koromaru from 3 because I feel like I'm going with 3 a lot. Maybe I do like this one.
No, that's
But
fine.
it's a dog, I know, but he doesn't really have like. There's a story, but it's more like not. But it's not
Oh, no,
really one.
I said it's a dog in a good way. Like,
Oh,
come
I
on,
know
you
he's
can't not.
great. Like that's. I'm surprised when I played it. I wasn't more like, wait, what the fuck is this? Why is this dog just on our team now? But
That just
okay.
works.
Yeah. Well, they introduce him
It's
a
like, don't
little
question it.
beforehand.
It's
I'm like,
Persona.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, this is JRPG. We'll take the dog, even though it's not even like, yeah, a talking animal. It's just no, he's just a dog. I'm like, you know what? That's good enough.
Huh?
I feel like, cause I'm weird. I don't know why. I don't have too much like connection with Aegis, which maybe I'll change with Reload. But I know people just love Aegis because like she's a mascot and she's like kind of a love interest in a big part of the story, but she's not done too
I
much for
think
me.
he's
So
the
I almost
canon love interest.
I know I don't really consider her
Oh,
like
I
a
hate
mascot.
games that do that. I
I
hate
think
when
every
games.
Persona game has a canon love interest. I think.
4
You
No,
mean
no,
surprisingly
four?
they.
doesn't.
I think
4
4 is the only
doesn't.
one that doesn't. But
Oh
for
yeah.
3,
Mhm.
it's Aegis, and for 5, it's Makoto.
Okay, you know
Well,
what?
it's
Maybe canon love interests are a good
No,
thing,
no,
actually.
5. No, I think it's different between the manga
yeah.
and something else.
Well, 5
Mhm.
it's Makoto for vanilla and it's Kasumi for royal.
Oh my
Kasumi
god.
doesn't feel right.
I like Kazooie, and like
I
I
like
actually
Kasumi, but I don't think she feels right as the main love interest. She's
it
Well,
not
kind
the
of
lo-
there
makes
long
sense.
enough.
She's okay. Like I know off topic, but like she's the only one who directly confesses to you. So
And
well, that
also there's a lot
helps.
of like just connections with uh between the
it's kind
personas.
of the
Like there's
same
a lot of like
upbringing.
hidden lore reasons that shows that like yeah, these two are supposed to be together. Like it becomes very plainly obvious when you start looking into I think it's the like the final forms of their persona. They're like a matching
Yeah.
pair.
I will say Haru does cry like if you try to like make her a friend, and that's why like every time I'm like I might just have to, if I have a girlfriend, I might have to grab Haru because I just can't if she's gonna cry. That
Oh,
hurts
I
me
just
too
let her cry.
much.
I'm like,
I
too bad.
can't. I was like I shouldn't
Boyfriend of the
care,
year.
but I shouldn't. But Jesus.
It's like
And
boo hoo,
then
man. Go find someone else.
yeah, before before we move on to V5, just to wrap things up before, what do you guys think of Nanako's story arc? Because I do think she's pretty integral to the game and pushing it forward.
Wait, hang
Everything
on.
with Junes.
Before we get off of Persona 4, man didn't even talk about the gameplay, by the way. This dude does not care about video
I mean,
games.
there's not much to talk about with the gameplay, and I was gonna talk about the gameplay when we got to 5 Royal because the gameplay actually like evolves there. It's the
Yeah, man, I
same
mean, I
gameplay,
think
but the dungeons are just they're better than
I think
P3.
it's fair to say. Uh,
Yeah, that's fair. We can get into the dungeons.
I mean, I just
Um,
want to talk about that video game dungeon, which was
I
fucking
hate that one.
ass. That was so ass. Like that
Oh,
boss
okay,
fight was
good.
annoying as hell. Like
Yeah.
everything. I don't know. Like this. I don't remember exactly what the boss did that annoyed me, but I know he did something.
It was a
He like
big baby. I remember it was a big baby in like a mech, and you had to destroy the
Yeah.
wall to then hit the baby. He was like made out of Legos.
yeah, it just regenerates like a lot. It's so annoying.
I
Yeah, the way
remember
that
I was just like, maybe it's worth dropping at this point. Maybe I've gone far enough.
that's not even the worst part of that dungeon. It's the layout of the. So the way that P4's dungeons work is that they're directly tied to a character. In P3 you have a big tower. P4 they're directly tied to a character who appears on the TV. You go in, you see a little bit about them, like their shadow and all that. And then it's pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of dungeon crawling. You find keys, progress. Until you get to the baby one. The baby one has random teleporters that don't mark on
God.
your map or anything, and you have to teleport your way to like multiple keys to then teleport your way to the final boss. And unless you have a guide, I don't know how the fuck you're gonna solve that dungeon.
It's this weird like dungeon crawling thing from like 90s, early 2000s video game design where they were just like, well, we can't really like change the layout of the dungeon to make it more difficult or interesting because like limited resources. So
Yeah.
let's just do something annoying. It's call that difficulty. Like I hate that type of level design. It's why it's tough for me to go back to like older JRPGs specifically. But Persona 4, I think, actually feels modern enough in a lot of ways, especially with the battle system. Like it didn't really feel like a weirdly like archaic or bad battle system. It's just simple and clean and easy to get across. But it was definitely that like weird adjustment when learning going from 5 to 4. It's like, oh wow, this combat is definitely different, but or not different, but like less,
It's
I
less
guess less
evolved.
improved.
That's less featured.
Yeah, it's less features, less like the way like um light and dark attacks are. It was like holy and curse, I think, where those didn't have like attacks. They were just insta kills, which was really
Yeah,
weird.
that took me a long time to figure out that I kept messing up. I was waiting for the light and dark attacks to come. I'm like, when are they coming?
Same.
When are they coming? And they never came.
Another thing to point out, Persona 4 is a lot easier than 5. Because Persona 4, when you evolve the personas, like when you max out Social Link and the character's Persona 4, they are some of the most broken in the series.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
crazy.
Yukiko and Naoto have the most insane Persona set of skills. I think Yukiko is the strongest Persona in the game. Like when you evolve her, it's actually
No,
insane the amount of DPS she can pump out.
she was just like nuking everything. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like I thought, like I was expecting it not to be this easy.
It's fucking insane. But yeah, that's pretty much the concept. There's not much to really talk about with it. There's the Persona fusions, but they've yeah, now that I think about it, Persona fusions relatively been the same throughout all the games. They didn't
It's
really like
so
improve much on it.
it's so weird. It's like just a lot of it. One thing that is always kind of funny to look between like Persona 5 and 4 is just seeing like personas that are usually high level in 5 are low level in 4 and vice versa, and that's always funny to me. I don't know why. It's just like, Sandman, what are you doing here at level 2? Aren't you level 30 usually? Stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, like, it really is just like, it is a serviceable combat system. It's good enough to get you going. It kind of reminds me of like Yakuza Like a Dragon, where that's an amazing game, but not really because of the combat. It's good enough to get you going.
It's good enough. And then if you compare it to P3 beforehand, which is just one big ass tower that looks exactly the same on next to every floor, besides the different colors, like every now and then, it does a lot in that regard. But aside of that, there's not much to talk about it. Did you guys ever fight the Reaper?
No.
In 4,
Yes.
no.
I
5 and
think I
5.
tried fighting him in 4. I got my ass beat.
I think
I
I
needed to go do
did.
that in 5 because I still want to one day go do a new game plus run of 5 and beat the Reaper, and because that's a trophy, and I'm only missing like 3 trophies for the platinum.
The Reaper is surprisingly really easy in 5 when you're like fully
Oh, good.
kitted out,
Thanks.
like
Thank
level
I mean, yeah,
100.
when you fully cut it out and have sent denial, everything is easy.
Well, no, like not even like Satanayo. Like you get the Ryuji skill that lets you just like kill enemies in one hit. If, like you could just like roll around in Mementos for like an hour, and you reach level 100. And I just fought the Reaper and I beat him like 3 turns.
I never fought him in 5. Should get to that one
It's
day
a
too.
it's a fun fight. Beef, sorry, you were gonna say something about the Reaper?
I think I did beam. It's easy in 5 vanilla. Apparently, you can like inflict him with something. Yeah, I forget,
Yeah,
and he'll run
if you fight
away.
him on,
That's
it's
the
like a
easy for
cold week.
achievement.
Mhm.
Yeah, but and then like yeah, I found him easy in 9 then. I'm pretty sure I did him in 4, but you're supposed to like. I think I used a guide because you're supposed to make one of those, BS personas you need a guide of, where it's like repel everything and like just have
Oh
one
my
massive
god.
attack. So I'm pretty sure that's how you have to do it. But yeah, I think I did it. And yeah, it's not too bad. If you try to do it normally at 99, it probably is a pain because you're not supposed to really be able to beat it. But yeah, I do think I was able to do it.
Yeah, I love a
The
good
thing with
super boss
5
like
too,
the Reaper.
when you get to like those levels, you can start really using the DLC personas, which are like utterly broken,
Oh
and they
yeah, the
want to be
DLC.
like breaking the game.
It's fucking pay to win. Yeah, like if I see someone using it, like I hate
It's
looking
a
up a
Namio
guide as like
couch.
I looked up a guide. I remember when I first played Persona 5, and I was like, how do I beat the Reaper? I was just curious. And it's like, so what you want to do? You want to buy this persona? It's like, fuck off! I'm not spending money like this pay to win bullshit. Fuck off. But no, I don't know. It's like I wonder, is there another super boss besides the Reaper? I remember something like that in Persona 4, or is
There's
it
Jose, who I think is kind of like a big boss kind of
So
thing.
in
okay, yeah,
4?
so Persona 4, if we're talking about super bosses, there's the Reaper and then there's Margaret. And Margaret is like
Oh yeah,
God herself.
yeah. No, I just
I
I
actually
don't
think Margaret
even.
might be easier than the Reaper. Because Margaret doesn't do anything crazy. She just like has a lot of holy attacks.
I can't.
Just like
I can't
one hit
remember.
the whole party.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I always knew like yeah, you could fight the attendants for like some prize, and yeah, they are just a pain in the ass.
Wait, are you
Yeah,
able to fight Elizabeth in 3? I don't remember.
I feel
I
like
think
you
you
can,
can.
but
I feel
maybe
like you can for some reason.
yeah.
you can fight what's it called? The twins and what's the final form when the twins
Lavenza.
combined? Lavenza, yeah. I remember trying to do the twins and I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. I just accepted it's never gonna
In
happen.
5 too, if I'm yeah, I remember in 5 you can fight Makoto and you, which is also like really cool. That's a fan service
Yeah,
thing.
I think
Yeah, but it's
I
fucking
think it
DLC,
was
right?
DLC.
Oh
Is
my
it
god,
actually?
Yeah, it was DLC. I'm pretty sure.
Ah, man.
But didn't you want to talk about Nanako?
Yeah, I wanted to
I
talk
keep
about
taking over.
Nanako.
I'm sorry.
Then he comes in here taking my fucking show. That's crazy. No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Nanako because I felt like she was a big thriving point and like pushed the story a lot. I want to know what you guys thought about Nanako as a whole.
I like Nanako very much as that little sister character. It was always this interesting. She really works as like kind of this driving plot where you see her throughout the game. She's always there for you, very much supporting you in every sense of the way, like kind of helping you in this new town, just being this little sister. So when she did have like that ailment, you were like, I need to go help her immediately. Now, granted, I still did do other stuff before helping her. So does that make me a bad big
It wasn't
brother?
immediate.
Yeah,
He's
like
like
I
other
want.
priorities.
I wanted to finish some. I had a like. I was gonna go immediately, but I'm like, oh wait, the rich girl. Like, I need to do her confidant real quick. Hang on.
I think
but
like, for me with Nanako, it's the whole way her story is set up is built up slowly. Like you don't recognize. Like randomly she'll come into action because her mother's dead. She passed away, and she'll ask you, "Hey, where do you think mommy is?" And you'd be like, "Oh, she's in heaven now." And it's just like a one-off thing. You don't pay attention to it. That's a lot of thing with P4. Like they'll just throw things that you don't pay attention to, and it comes back way later. And she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, in heaven." And then her dungeon comes, and the name of her theme is really good when it plays. The name of that theme is Heaven, and that's why it's like all angelic like that. And the theme is sad as shit.
Yeah.
yeah, it is that funny thing. I love Persona, but like, man, the imagery and the what's it called? Like the symbolism, it gets a little obvious at a certain point where like, okay, I know what you guys are doing here. but other than that, man, like, it is a very powerful moment.
Yeah, I touched upon
I
it
was
too, but Teddy had a big moment too where he died for a bit, saving Nanako. And I was like, damn, Teddy actually died for one of these people.
Yeah, he's real as fuck for that. Beef, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just think like for the plot she works, but I also think she works like overall because like she's really good like we said, keeping the story grounded, like instead of like, keep making your character feel larger than life who can do anything, it's like, yeah, but you still have like this little sister. You are still like a high schooler who will just sometimes, hang out with your sister because her dad has to go to work and he just doesn't understand. She's upset. And I hate him for it and then I get over it. But yeah, so I think that's also why like I don't think about her a lot throughout the story, but like yeah, looking back, I'm like, no, it actually is like a really good idea to have like some sibling in there, like to keep it like back to normal
Yeah,
life for you.
she basically grounds you that to just like because you have all this fantastical stuff going on with like these powers and this going into the TV and fighting all these creatures, and then you're like, oh, okay, no, I need to go back to school. I need to hang with my newly adopted sister and all this. So yeah, they definitely ground you a lot in that kind of way with her, and
Yeah,
I think she does an excellent job at that.
The
it
way she
keeps
gets
me from
kidnapped too, I was like, damn. Because throughout the whole game, she always has like a routine where she picks up the phone, she goes out to her thing, she comes back, and then as soon as it's different, you notice it right away. Like, wait, what the fuck? But yeah, any last closing thoughts on Persona 4 before we go into 5?
We didn't talk a lot about the confidants.
Because we've missed most of them because they're so hard to start.
You guys missed most
That's
of them.
something. Well, that's the thing. That's I listen. I want to point out I got all of them except the mom. so I'm
Did
pretty
you
good
guys
at
do the
this game.
fox? I know a
What?
lot of people didn't do the fox.
I did
I
a
got
bit
the
of the
was
fox.
hard.
I
did
did the
a bit of the
entirety of
fox, but not
this.
all of it.
Hey, I did the fox, but you know what I had on my phone the entire time we're
Hit the
playing
guide.
that game? Fox Confidant Guide, baby. That
Fox was
shit
rough.
was a tab bookmarked. It's if I had one major complaint about Persona 4 versus 5, and maybe this is just me playing 5 first, maybe it's an unfair perspective, but like I don't like how out of the way a lot of these confidants are, where I
Oh
just
yeah,
miss
it
them
was
all.
terrible. Yeah.
Where like in 5, you get them all naturally, like you will, except like maybe the arcade kid, but like you're gonna visit the arcade. Like it
I
feels
didn't.
weird
I
not to.
missed him. I missed him,
Okay,
and I missed the politician.
I missed the politician.
how did you guys miss the politician? He was like out in the
I
streets.
tried to get him, but I could never get the job at the restaurant.
Oh, the beef bowl plate. Wait, you
Yeah.
just get it if you had enough guts, didn't you?
Oh, you guys
I don't
went
think I
to the
had it
beef.
enough time in
I
it.
worked at the bodega.
The bodega.
Yeah, it was like a
It's
supermarket.
like
Oh, the Junis.
No, we're talking about in 5.
Oh, where are we talking about 5, dude? We're still on 4.
Because we're talking about characters that we're talking about
Jesus.
missable characters, and you're like, oh, in 5. He forgot what he was talking about.
You're ruining
In
the
5, there's
whole
characters we could.
conversation. This thing is getting
You
derailed.
brought this up yourself. That's insane. The gaslight was
Look.
crazy.
I'm playing. What was the bodega? I'm trying to think of what you're trying to say.
It was like a supermarket, like a 7-Eleven.
Oh, the 7-Eleven place, yeah.
Why did you say bodega? Who says bodega?
It acts like a bodega.
You are not. No. Okay. In 2024, the year of our Lord, you're saying bodega instead of supermarket?
I live in New York. This is a normal thing.
Ah, fair enough. I don't know how you people in the Bronx think, but wait, you're not even in the Bronx.
In Persona 4, you're getting back to it. In Persona, I missed the lady in the hospital.
Oh,
The
Psycho?
nurse?
Yeah.
No, I loved her.
Oh, she was great. I hard focused on her for a while because I thought she would be a romanceable partner. I'm like, I'm gonna go after the hot nurse. No, then she turns out not to be
No.
romanceable.
Yeah, I don't know. They were like, yeah, no, we can't have teenagers dating adults at 4 and 5. It's like, yeah, fuck it. We don't care anymore. No, I like Psycho a lot. Like that whole storyline was genuinely like
Yeah, she was
really
pretty
sweet
fun.
at the end. I also, what was her name? The rich girl. Was she a rich girl?
I.
She's
I
like
love
she.
that.
Dude, she
She
was so
gives
much
the
fun.
impression.
Like
Yep.
she's I don't know, like that type of character is really
Once
strong
again,
for
I
me.
was very torn to like maybe I'll just drop dating one of my teammates and go after her. I almost did.
I really was like definitely like right at the end. I was so close to romancing her. Because she's genuinely just an entertaining character, and her whole like story really hit for me. I don't know. It means a lot.
Yeah, of all the confidants, I feel like at the high school, like at least the young people, are probably the ones like at most I think are good. I even like the sports guys. Like I'll go hang out with them,
Yeah, I
every
didn't do
once
them
in a
He was
while.
okay.
They're okay. I mean, they're not like special, but I'm still like just fine with them. Like,
I enjoy them.
You know which one was nice? The when you tutored the kid.
Yeah, shoot. I
oh
I had a
yeah.
lot more connection, mainly for the ending. I don't know, like
The ending
I
did
guess
a
it's
lot.
kind of it's just a very personal thing. Like I definitely was kind of that like bratty kid that had a lot of those like expectations thrown onto you, and that ending did actually hit really hard, especially when you called up the whole game.
I started the old lady that like wears all black. Didn't get much farther with her. Started the mom. Didn't get really far with her.
Yeah, the old lady, I tried to do some of hers, but like I swear that woman never appeared. Like I would always go to that freaking area and she was just gone. It's like, bro, I cannot help you if you're not gonna show up. And I don't know, like I know that's the same thing in 5, but I feel like these characters just love avoiding you in 4. It's like, let me hang out with you, man.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. Especially when you try to romance Naoto. Yo, Naoto has the most insane schedule. I swear. I think she's the only one that appears during the rain. But outside of that, it's like she's only available like 2 days during the week, and you have to have max intelligence to talk to. It's like the amount of requirements that she has. It's crazy.
Yeah. I tried so hard. I was like looking at all the guides for Naoto because it was getting near the end of the game. And I'm like, I still have like 4 or 5 more levels to go with her, and it never happened. I think I got to 9 before I had to finish the story, and I was so upset. She was the only main party member of mine that wasn't evolved at the end.
Yeah, I think I was able to get all of them except Chie, obviously. But like
Dude, when
outside
Chie
of
evolved, her persona was pretty damn good.
No,
think
that's
that's
like
why
the entirety of P4. Like all their personas are fucking insane when they evolve, bro.
really powerful, yeah.
But yeah, you guys have anything else you wanted to bring about P4?
Yeah, this game
No,
sucks.
no more procedure generated dungeons, please.
Ah man, I'm glad we
Never
kind of
again. Like I know in P6 they're gonna do like cool things with it. Never again do something like the baby dungeon. I don't want any like teleportation nonsense. Where like I don't know
I
how
don't think
anyone beat that without a guide.
that was a necessity thing for the era that the game came out. Like a lot of JRPGs kind of like I don't want to say forced into, but like it was just the easier route to do the procedurally generated dungeons. Let other parts of the game shine. So, but I don't think that's gonna happen once again for like they're never bringing that back, except for
Hopefully.
Persona 3 remake apparently.
But Yeah, okay, so it's time to move on to, good old Persona 5. That most infamous one. The one that nobody shuts up about.
Yeah, boy.
Alright,
He
let's
says
just get up.
infamous. Oh,
Yeah,
why do
infamous.
people like a good game? This is weird.
I like this game too, okay? Alright, let's just get out. What are your thoughts on the Phantom Thieves as a whole?
Oh, I fucking hate the Persona fan base. That's why I just like don't consider myself like I don't want to say like I don't consider myself a fan, but like it'll be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a Persona fan get together. It's like you guys have fun.
Wolf,
What's
Wolf.
up?
Wolf.
What? What?
He said Phantom Thieves, not fan base.
Oh!
Thank you for your van.
Thanks for trying to hijack the
I
podcast
love
again.
Persona. I swear to God, I thought you said, "What is your thoughts on the Persona 5 fan base?" And I'm like, "This is my time."
Oh, no, guys,
It's like it's time to let it all
he
out.
hates all your viewers. He hates every single one of you.
Oh, everyone watching is an awesome Persona fan. Some of my favorite people of all time. Cut that out of the recording, but cut it out.
Bro, just like trying to hijack and bit him in the ass.
It wasn't a hijack. I misheard you.
He just really
Someone
needed to
else.
vent.
Someone else talk. Someone else talk.
Alright, guys, yeah, so this time, what do you guys think of the Phantom Thieves? That's like the main crew.
they're
Who said it like fan base? Like, am I crazy?
he said
Yes.
Phantom Thieves.
Go ahead.
But
Alright, go
they're
ahead.
they're my goods. They're like the people I wish I could hang out with. I like a lot of them. I wish I had those kind of friends in school. Like it'd be cool to have like the kind of delinquent Ryuji, or be friends with the council president, or have a rich friend who can take me to Disneyland after she buys out the park.
Yeah, we gotta find a rich friend like that.
We need a rich friend.
We have one, he just doesn't pay us. What about you, Beef? What do you think about
Yeah,
them?
like as I say, I like them too. It's weird because it seems like there's more of them than like in 3 and 4, but I don't even think it's like anyone. I think it's the same amount of people, but yeah, they're all like
It's the
very.
thing with... I'm sorry for
More
like
spread
cutting
out.
you off.
Nah, go
But the
ahead.
thing with 5 is that they feel larger than life. They feel huge, these characters. They're like, damn. They have a big presence to them. But yeah, my bad.
And there is like like some similarities. Like you still have like, I mean, not everyone's like similar. Like I kind of Anne is the popular girl, and the closest is like Yukari from 3. But yeah, like you have your delinquent friends, but then you got like Yusuke, who's like pretty like out there, is like just like obsessed with art, and like, and then of course with no one's as like techy as like Futaba, so they are like even more different than people you've seen before. So I think that also like helps.
You mentioned how like some of them are similar. Mitsuru and Haru are like have like the same story.
Yeah,
Oh, like
which
damn.
is
But I think I
which
like
is like
Haru more.
yeah, which is like fine. Like there's still like differences. Like Mitsuru is very like not motherly, but like a leadership, like kind of a hard ass, and Haru is like the softest person you'll ever meet, and like, well, she comes across as soft, and then like you kind of talk to her more, and people are like, oh,
And then you find
of,
out.
you have a bit of a bit like she's like talking about, oh, I just want to like decapitate someone. You're like, Haru, you okay? What the hell are you
It's like,
talking about?
Haru was having a rough week that week, okay?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, let's just get right into it. Who do you guys romance in P5? Let's get some breakdown.
I
Let's start
started
off
with
right away.
I started with Makoto. I cheated on her for Kasumi on Valentine's Day, then made up
That's
with
Oh
her,
my
crazy.
God.
and then made up with her on White Day.
You're gonna go to
Heinous.
jail, bro.
Actually evil. Holy shit.
How about
She
you,
accepted
Wolf?
my apology.
Accepted your apology. You don't, of course,
Wolf,
let's
and
try
that's a
that in the real
sincere
world.
apology.
For me, so like first playthrough was definitely Makoto. Also, you never asked me about my opinion on the Phantom Thieves.
Yeah, but you skipped yourself.
I don't want to talk about it, man. No, I love that crew. I mean, every single one of them. Haru, I less so, but that's just like Haru is definitely the weakest link of the main crew, but that's just because she gets the least screen time. And it was
Yeah.
kind of that sad thing with Royal came out. It's like, whoa, Haru's gonna get more screen time. She doesn't. She gets the same
Yeah.
amount, and it's really unfortunate. But even despite that, like Haru is just an enjoy. Like with the weakest link is still like I enjoy her about the same amount as like the cast in other Persona games. So that just says a lot about just how strong she is as a character. And even then, like, that's strong the whole cast is. I mean, to me personally, my favorites are just Makoto, Yusuke, and Ryuji. That's my crew. Like, that's usually the one I run with. Also Morgana. Like, those are just the characters that I find the most entertaining. But nothing to say like On is also incredible. Same with like Futaba. Yeah, Futaba, and I think that's the only one I forgot about.
They
Yeah,
just don't have a
Futaba.
bad character.
Exactly, yeah. Like every single character feels like fleshed out and they have their own arcs. And you just want to spend as much time with them as possible to where that 100 hours is like kind of a blessing where, yeah, I do want to spend 100 hours with these characters.
Yeah, that was my thing with Persona 5 when it ended and the credits rolled. I'm like, but I want to go hang out with my friends.
Yeah, can we do another 100 hours? Like, let's come on. But no, just in general, like I did for my first playthrough, I was Makoto, and then my new game plus I did Hifumi. Ooh, I fucking love Hifumi.
Hakumi's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Her whole confidant arc. Is
she's my
incredible.
she's my top choice whenever I do my replay.
And then my royal playthrough, I did Makoto again because I was like, well, because there's like, it was like I heard there's like there's new romance scenes. It's like, well, shit, I gotta go with Makoto again. You know, stuck with my one and true. But yeah, no, I love that romance. It just in general, those characters, especially Makoto.
What about you, Beef?
I'm
Who yours the-
terrible.
Oh
I'm
no.
terrible. I go with all the lovers. No, I just go with the lovers. So I was Anne the first time, but I did also like I don't know if I've done like Makoto as like my main one, but like she's definitely like one I would have no problem doing. I think I've done it. So yeah, like those are probably my top two. I do like Hifumi. It's a little like sometimes I'm like I think she needs almost a little more, which is weird because the behind the scenes that she was at one point like gonna be like another Phantom Thief. So like I always think like if I knew her a little better, she probably would be one. But yeah, and then obviously
Yeah,
when
she
Boyle
felt
came out,
very like she should have.
I think it's like she just well, it's also like she's like I think the one confidant who's also like a high schooler, so it's like and she like shows up at other points, so I do like her. But and then yeah, I've also done Kasumi when Boyle came out. I had to see what that was like.
Yeah, Kasumi was one
I
of
like
those
Kasumi's
characters
social link.
because
Mm.
Beef. I think you and me are the only ones that played P5 pre-royal out of this crew.
Yep.
Vanilla.
Yeah, and like I like to go into that. Like, I mean, vanilla P5 is still phenomenal, but like it is one of those things
Yeah.
where you play Royal. It's like, how did I ever play original P5 with all the improvements, especially to guns? Do you remember how guns worked in Beef or
Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard about
I
that.
didn't use. You don't use them. Like, why would I? I barely use them because like you get like
It was
one
for the
clip
entire run.
for the entire thing. It's like I'm never gonna
Yes,
use this or if I need it.
exactly. It was really weird, and they much improved in Royal, where it's like every battle you get a new clip. But I mean, like original P5 definitely. I think the way Persona 5 original ends is actually still really strong. Where like the extra royal content was like, oh, this is good, but it wasn't like required to enjoy that game. Like I still love the game despite it, but like it is just additive. Like it's not like, oh, royal took away this. It's like no, royal is just the definitive way to play that game.
I think that base P5's ending is better than Royals. Just like the end, just the ending way, so not the extra content, just the base ending, like the ending cutscene. I think base P5 is better. I don't know, Royal's ending feels goofy to me. Why is he a taxi driver, and how did he just so happen to pick you up?
Because he's
Yeah,
moving on with his life.
Is that what
no,
it's
Okay,
no,
but like,
saying?
how did he
how
know
did
that
he
you?
live? Why do characters in these things never die? It's just like, how did he live?
Um, guys, I have a confession to make.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a criminal. I romance Tay.
Well, that's just
You
based.
know what? I was
Wait,
gonna say if there's one
oh,
adult,
Can you
I
blame me?
respect it.
if there's one adult, that would probably be the one. So that's fine.
I do want to say
I mean,
though,
Kawakami, what? Hang on.
she was the second
What?
pick.
That is my teacher. What the hell, man?
Hey, that's
Listen,
kind of
it's a
hot. Though.
video game. It's a video
Yeah.
game.
But
I wasn't.
playing,
I wasn't that parasocial.
playing through the spin-offs, I didn't fully play through Strikers. I'll fully beat that one day. I've grown an appreciation for Haru. I think she's
Yeah.
great. Haru is
She's
great.
really good at the spinoffs because she actually
Because
has the time to develop.
She has time, and she like you now know about like her little sadistic personality, which just adds to it because now they build on top of that.
But yeah, Pate was my that's what romance. Yeah, what do you guys think of the plot? Like, this is kind of like rough, but like, what do you guys think of the overarching plot of P5? And then we get into real content right afterwards.
I'm biased. I love it. I love the idea of just like a group of thieves going over to slowly take the hearts of these evil masterminds. And one of my favorite things, I love escalation in plot lines where you go from like, oh, your high school gym teacher, and then a famous artist, and now you're dueling a mafia boss, and now like a worldwide organization, like hacking organization, and now a CEO of a conglomerate, and it all ends with a fucking politician, where it always ends. And I'm a sucker for like escalating plots like that, where you see the stakes slowly grow as the game goes on. I mean, like the characters really are the star of the show, and just seeing their interactions throughout the storyline definitely adds to it. I will say, if I had to criticize it in some way, I do think like kind of like the overarching plot in the background with Akechi Shido, the SIU director. I think there probably could have been more in that regard, but even then, I think like what we had was enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased.
How about you, Beef?
Yeah, as I say, I'm with you. I mean, it's like a superhero. Like you're almost like a superhero team. Like you're very over
Yeah.
the top. It works very well. I think that's why it's like one of them. Like I think it's easy for like other people to get into. It's why I think five is like very easy to recommend because it's like it just fits so well. I'm kind of with you. I could see, yeah, like the background plot, like especially the first time you play, you're like, what the hell is? Why do I care about like this stuff? I also do like how it like opens up because as everyone knows, like it starts with the casino heist and then like you tell a story backwards, which I think is interesting and helps like keep
Mhm.
it from. It could probably be kind of too slow if it didn't have that like of an opening where it's like you're just like kind of trapped in LeBlanc for the most part, and there's not really much to do at the beginning besides go to school. Especially because I like it too because of course that means there's a reason to talk to Sai the whole time, and I'm okay with that. But yeah,
Respect, respect.
and
It
there's
a
one.
long.
Yeah, go
Sorry. Just
ahead.
real quick. Like, when you say like the long plot and like kind of those like intermediaries where you're talking to Sai, I think those really add to the experience. Like when you're playing such a long game, just having those little recaps is actually really helpful, and like getting you like kind of set up for the next arc of like, oh, and then your next like target was like this museum director. I don't know, like the little mysteries like that.
I want to
Well,
point out. I'm not for cutting you off, but
nay,
first, yeah, you can go. I'll go after.
yeah, fine. I said because I only have one last thing, and I'm now forgetting what was it. It was the other part that I like about it is like unlike every other Persona game, where it's like you kind of go into like, oh, you're our friends in 3 or in 4. It's like, oh, now you're part of a family. You open up 5, and like, why am I forget Shoji is like, I fucking hate you. Why the fuck are you here? It's kind of funny. Just start with like this. You're a piece of shit, basically. I like that.
With P3 and P4, they're not drawn out. I don't think drawn out they're long. They're long enough where they feel like a normal video game. P5 is so long and like intricate and such, and like in a way that it feels like an experience that like the game like it always tells you to take your time, and there's a reason for that because you're gonna be spending a lot of time with these characters to the point where it feels like you spend like all the months in the game. It feels like you spend that entire time with these characters IRL, even though you won't. But I don't know how to explain if you guys know what I'm talking about.
No,
While I'm just like
to
going crazy. It's very hard to explain.
Persona Persona 5 is very much the way I compare it is like a TV show. Like where I think the other ones kind of work better as like one solitary experience. I think Persona 5 is kind of like a TV show where every arc, every season of the show is kind of like the palace where season 1 is Kamoshida, season 2 is Madarame, so on and so forth. To where like I actually think if you're playing Persona 5, if you're worried about the length, take a break after each palace. I actually think that's a good way to play it because it almost feels like the game kind of incentivizes you to
It
play the
does.
game that way. To like just say, you know what, I'm gonna like step away from the game for like a week, play some other games, and then I come back right into it, the thick of things.
And 5 is the only game in the series that I know of, 'cause I haven't played the original trilogy, but from the new trilogy, the 5 is the only one that's been able to do this.
Because it's also the most modern. I'm assuming Persona 6 is going to be very similar in that regard.
Most likely, I would hope so. We didn't talk. We talked about it briefly in the P4 section,
Real
but
quick,
let's.
Moon, did you talk about plot? Your opinions on the plot?
I think I kind of talked about it a little bit when we were in the 4 section, but I really enjoyed. As like as much as I enjoy the small town murder mystery, there is also something to be had with like the big superhero like stopping evil, like the evil adults kind of like Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing. Um, and I think that's I probably should save this for like the end of the video, but the best way to wrap it up is the cool thing about the Persona series is that each game is so different and they do such different things with each other that it's easy to pick a favorite one. And I think that's what's also its strength is you will have that one kind of genre, the small town murder mystery, the big bombastic superhero, the high school fighting a dark tower kind of thing. It's nice that they all do something different, and I think that's something not a lot of series can say because a lot of series just kind of repeat one thing that did what they did successful. But yeah.
Before we dive into the insanity that is the Royal Edition, like the Royal Edition content specifically, what do you guys think of the Velvet Room in this one? We talked about it, like for a decent amount in the P4, but this one is you're in jail.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Beef.
yeah. I think, yeah, we said. I don't think you were here. What we said, it's like the most obvious one. Where it's like, yeah, like we said, the other ones is like, what does the limo represent? What does the elevator represent? It's like, no, you're in jail.
Yeah.
Like you're invested in the game. You're going to jail. Like I'm like, oh, okay. We're just gonna
Yeah, I
be
mean,
like punished
We feel a
by
prisoner by
society. That works.
society.
the whole
Yeah,
point, the big point of the game, like in general, like one of the major themes of Viewpoint is freedom and security. This whole idea of like the balance between the two, where if you have too much freedom, then there's zero security in your life. But also, if there's too much security, then you lack the freedom. And the whole point of the game is that you're living in a society that's very much shackled by too much security. This idea of like wanting to hide away from the news, like following the news, this sensationalist media attacking people, all this crazy shit going on in the world, and you just want to stay inside and not worry about it. Let the government take care of it. Let the politicians, like the higher up people. But what do they do when they don't know how to take care of it? You have to take charge of your own life and do something of your own volition rather than just sit and wallow and accept things the way they are. That's kind of what I view as the major theme regarding Persona 5 storyline.
Not even that. A big theme too is breaking free, and every time you go to the Velvet Room, you have these like this massive shackle and chain. I forgot what the actual term of it is, but you have like this big ball and chain attached to your foot where you can't go anywhere. Only until the very end of the game where the prison opens up and you're free to move around.
Well, that's the
well,
other
on
thing
that.
is every Persona Awakening is you doing that. Is you well, that character like throwing away their metaphorical mask, but with an actual mask of like breaking out, especially with someone like Makoto, who is like pretty much breaking bad against what she thought was right in beforehand. They're all breaking like stereotypes or what everyone thought of their character. So it is all about like breaking free of certain chains of like society or whatever.
But yeah, I want to get into the Royal content specifically, but I feel like Royal adds so much to the game. I'm just gonna go out and say it now. I think Miyuki, I think he's the best antagonist in video games.
Well, I wouldn't say in video games, but I'd say he's like in the higher end.
I think the only person that comes close to him is Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay, that's like Coughing Baby versus Atomic Bomb right there. I'm sorry, Dark. I mean, I like Handsome Jack, but like those are your two ride or dies. Like I respect it. To each their own.
That's how highly I think of the way Miyuki was handled as an I don't even call him a villain. I just call him an antagonist.
Okay, so I'm gonna sound like a clown. I like Shido more.
There is no way.
I like Shido way more. Okay, you gotta understand. My favorite JoJo villain is Dio. You gotta understand the type
God.
of villains I like. I like the characters that are just evil for the sake of being evil. You can be as deeply written as you want, but like, dude, Shido's just this super buff politician guy. That's fucking hilarious. And I don't know, like when I first played the game, like he just came off as such a big threat, especially at that point of the game. And I absolutely love his palace. He has my favorite palace in the game, which apparently is a hot take, by the way. Like people don't like the cruise ship.
which is crazy. But I don't know. It's, to me, Shido is like, I know I'm a bad person for liking him more than Maruki, but like I just can't shed away my love for Shido.
That's a crazy take. What about you, Moon?
I agree.
Oh,
Wait,
me?
what was the question again? Because we were talking about favorite palaces.
No, we were talking about the royal content in Maruki and what you guys
Oh,
thought
yeah,
about it.
it's all great because it made it more personal. Whereas like something like Shido or even like Yalbaduth or whatever that god's name is felt like this big grand
Oh,
thing.
Yaldabaoth.
Yeah. Maruki suddenly brings it right back down to it making it a bit more personal. It's like it's your school counselor who suddenly feels like he has to take on the world and change it for the better and all this. What was I going with it?
Do you okay? Am I crazy for liking Shido more than Maruki?
I'd say so.
If you like just big bads for the sake of being big bad, no. But if
See,
you
No,
like,
but at
you know,
that point, why not
Dark.
just go against? Why not just pick Yelzabeth then? That's
No,
literally what it
Yaldabaoth.
is.
he's
Because I
just a
don't like.
faceless god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
like
it's
I
just
don't
a
like.
big bad for the sake of being big bad.
I don't like. No, you did not compare Yaldabaoth. No.
If
Shido
we're
is
talking
way
about
more
if we're
interesting.
talking about just a big bad just for being bad, it'll be Yelzabeth.
No,
There is
Yaldabaoth.
no reason for them to be there.
I don't like holier than thou characters. This whole I'm a god, so I'm better than you. I like how Shido's just this fucking politician. Like that's goofy to me. I just really gravitate towards like really funny characters like that.
If you like those characters, I say you should really play Tactica because it has a couple of characters like that, especially with like the whole politician aspect and all that. I don't know. I think personally, he presents like a situation that is like honestly, I don't know if I'd be able to say no in real life. If that situation happened in real life, where like he created the world and everything's like everyone's happy and there's no war, no nothing going on, no issues. Even like a freaking Akechi's alive again. I don't know, man.
I don't know. To me,
And
it's
that's
like
the thing. The way that it's
I was.
handled, they let you experience. He's not just like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." You experience it firsthand for days. You're like, "Okay, shit." He's not lying.
Yeah, people keep saying that, but like to me, I was just always on like the side of Akechi, where it's like I want to choose my own fate in life. Like I have grown a lot as a person because of the hardships I go through in life. So I don't think I think just having a world without hardships, like yeah, on the outside that's good, but like you never really grow or like experience like kind of the true meaning of life throughout it. Like which I think is very much what Persona 5's Royal's messaging was that to experience the trueness of life.
I don't know if that was the true mess, but I get what you're saying. I don't. I
Well, no,
just think he presented himself in such a way that was so well done that it was like I can't really argue against his point. I see what he's saying, and like you know
dude.
what, you're not really wrong, bro.
I mean, listen, but Masayoshi Shido was on a lion, dude. I
Jesus.
mean, can you even compare them?
He's still on this line, bro.
He was on a lion. He was a lion politician on a lion. Like that's kind of raw.
It's pretty funny actually.
And like the lion was made out of like
Gold.
the society
Like
of people.
dude, come on, that's like symbolism. Like Marky who?
What about you, Beef? What do you think about everything? The royal
Uh,
content?
yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know if I can get there as far as Maruki, but I do like agree, like he like come. I don't know how I didn't think about it when I bought the game. Like, why is this new dark character in the game? And it just didn't click to me. It's like he's gonna be important, probably more important than Kasumi, who they've made a gigantic deal about. But yeah, so I do like him again because it's like more subtle than Shido. Like I guess if you're a big JoJo fan, I get you off. It's funny. I do like Shido. He is like
Well,
over
he's
the top, but
goofy. If you
I
say
know. Yeah,
Marky is the better villain, but like if you're talking about personal preference, like that's just me.
yeah. That's like at the end of the day, it's like it feels like you have to say Mobuki for like a better villain. Where it's like Shido kind of works in I kind of compare like Persona 5 to like a superhero like story. Like yeah, Shido's like the over the top villain you expect, and that's why I most kind of like that they both exist and Mavuki like comes in like towards the end. It's this almost attached part that like extends the story. So I also like really like Mavuki. I almost probably feel like I need to play it again to really like be always there listening to him and like thinking about like what he means to the story, and we'll see like how much that really adds to it. Because yeah, like it almost like it did kind of take me off guard. Like the whole time, I don't know why I was like, okay, he's here. Why is he here? But I just didn't like think too much about it.
The thing I like about him too is that they do the P4 thing where they slip him in at the very beginning, and most people won't notice it. He catches you leaving the palace at the very beginning of the game. Like when you first leave, he catches you in the act, and it's in the background. Like if you're not, the camera's focused on the foreground, so you're just seeing Joker and I think Ryuji like leave the palace and stuff. But if you look at the background, he's just looking dead at you, like what the fuck. So this entire time he knows what's going on. Like he can't put two and two together that you get a Phantom Thieves really quickly, but he just doesn't say anything. He just like lets things play out.
Wait, hang on, real quick. Before we get off villains, I mean, like, what about the other palace villains? Like, they're very much like, I don't know.
I feel like villain of the day.
Yeah, not villain. It'd be villain of the week in that regard.
Oh yeah,
I guess.
but yeah, same thing.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Semantics, all that, but no, I think for the most part, like they work. Like Kamoshida works as just a great starting villain because he's so personal to the player at that point of the game, because of what he does to Shiho and like On and all that bullshit. You're just
Yeah, it's a great
and of course
introductory
Ryuji.
villain.
Yeah, because like it's a very small scale deal. Like he is literally the gym teacher at a school, but you want to kick his ass because of how much he screwed over people that you care about.
I think
I didn't.
Kamoshida. I'll go for the. Yeah, I
Make
think
them.
he also works because like Kamoshida, like he affects you, the character, and a lot of the later ones like don't necessarily affect you, but they affect a party members, and at least like okay, maybe they're not affecting me, but they're affecting this person, and if they're going through the same thing I was, like you get that connection. So I think it at least still works, even if some of them I'm like they're a little more forgettable, but they're all at least serviceable.
Yeah, I give him the. I mean, some were better than others. Like I think the artist was like the worst one out of the bunch.
Oh yeah,
he's
for
just
sure.
like he's just an asshole just to be an asshole, to be honest.
He's just
Yeah,
a greedy
Maru-
asshole. He's just to make money.
Madarame's whole deal was so funny because at the end it's like, yeah, your mother, I let her die, and I just stood there. It's like, okay, like I get it. It was
That's
a
like
weird
you should
thing.
like him then. He's evil for being evil.
No, it's not the
That's
same.
true. How is it not the same?
Shido's a politician.
Because he doesn't have a line. Is that why? If he had a line, you're like,
He's a lion politician on a lion. Like you can't go wrong with that. I don't know why I'm being harassed for liking Shido. Like I feel like when base Persona 5 came out, Shido was considered the best villain, and then the royal kids came in like, oh, Maruki. It's like, okay, guys.
I mean, yeah. If you talk about base Persona 5, Shido would be because Yalaba was kind of like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's so shoehorned into the story.
I don't
But
think of him as shoehorned because like Yaldabaoth is supposed to very much represent just society as a whole, like the god of control taking over people's lives. It's a very like physical part of a symbolic message that people are being controlled by all these things around them rather than thinking and acting for
no,
themselves.
I get what you're talking about. Like the thematically, he makes sense, but when you're playing the game, he just comes out of nowhere. Like I feel like the game's about to end, and then you have like, oh no, you have like another 10 hours, 5 to 10 hours, because it's freaking this guy's here now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I
no,
will
actually
say,
no, because if you want to talk about villains, there's Akechi. We haven't talked about Akechi.
wait, real quick before we get
Our
into
boy
Akechi,
Akechi.
I do want to talk about Igor and that whole twist with Yaldabaoth that I really love, specifically because one of the cool major things was the Japanese voice actor for Igor died for like Persona 3,
Oh,
Persona
did he
4 and
actually?
whatnot. Well, yeah, before Persona 5 came out, so it was a thing where in the Japanese they recasted him, but they also recasted him for the English dub. And it was kind of a weird thing where it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why is there a different voice for Igor? But then you realize why that's the case when you finish the game and realize like Igor was very much Yaldabaoth the whole time. I thought that was a really interesting twist because I didn't play the previous Persona game, so I didn't know there was a difference in voices between
Yeah,
Igor
same.
in Persona 4 and 5. So learning with Persona fans, it's like, oh, that was a big deal when his voice sounded so different.
Yeah, P5 was my first game too. I thought that was just his voice. I was like, oh, okay.
I'm the only one here. Yeah, he has that distinct. I don't know what they're doing for P3 Reload, but yeah, he has a super distinct voice in P3 and 4. So yeah, it definitely threw me off. And I was like, I think I heard the same thing of like they had to recast because someone like I wasn't sure if it was the English or Japanese, so I think I didn't think too much of it. But yeah, so I do think it makes for a good twist, especially if you're an old fan.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty cool.
definitely
I didn't know that.
something. Yeah, it was definitely something for the longtime fans. Like everyone questioning, well, why does he have a different voice now? Then it's like, oh, that's the reason.
I didn't know that at all. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but another villain we didn't talk about is Akechi. And Akechi, he does. I mean, technically, you can make the argument that Adachi is a rival character to you. I don't
Yeah,
really see it like
they're
that.
rivals. They're supposed
I
to be
don't. I don't.
rivals.
They're supposed to be. I don't really see it like
Yeah.
that. When you can see what Akechi does to Joker, they're very much rivals. Like you see it throughout the game. Like they're one-upping one another throughout the entire time.
Yeah, they're rivals.
Yeah, and oh yeah, no, but Moon, he was talking about Adachi.
Adachi.
Oh, Adachi.
The-
No, Adachi's not a rival.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
no,
is he's technically a rival, but he doesn't feel like one. Meanwhile, Akechi feels like he is very much a rival, and you see it throughout the game.
Yeah, and that's always kind of the weakness of Persona protagonists of being very much like semi-silent, is that you have a catchy spouting out this spiel towards you and fucking Joker just standing there like nonchalantly. It always comes across as kind of silly, like in the grand scheme of things, but also like I do really enjoy Akechi as a rival. It was funny. I was like rewatching certain scenes from Persona 5. And there's a scene near the end of the game where Akechi and Shido are literally just explaining their like evil mastermind plan. And I always go back to that. It's like, man, this is some grade A writing because they're just talking about things they already did. But other than that, like I think Akechi is a very solid like villain character, though it is also kind of obvious about the twist. I will say, like I very much expected Akechi. Now, granted, the pancakes line was a
Yeah, I
really
caught on to
fucking
that.
good line. I
It's
didn't
good. It's
catch
a
The
on
way
good
to
that
line.
that
it.
was handled was incredible.
It had some
I
good
didn't.
writing right there.
It's just like you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, how did he hear Morgana say pancakes? That is kind of a funny thing to think about.
And the game doesn't tell you about it for like a decent while until Morgana points it up. He's like, "How the fuck did he hear me?"
And no one
Yeah.
caught it.
I caught on to it on my first. I was like, "Wait a minute, how are you supposed to know this?" But do you guys like Akechi? Like,
I
Yeah,
love him.
people go insane for Akechi. I'm like, this is like one of
they
the
like
worst human
those.
beings.
They like those crazy bad boys. Like
Yeah,
they latch
like
onto those kind of characters. When we look at like Dexter and other like killer, quote unquote, good guys.
Akechi is definitely one of those characters where like there's parts of him that are a little too much, but I do overall enjoy his overall arc, and I especially love him in Royal. Like in the like
Yeah.
Maruki Palace, he is so entertaining because like
He's
the,
because he's
he
set free.
takes off the mask.
Yeah,
He's just
it's Haru all over again from like when we see her in Strikers, because we've gone through the twists now of like, oh, they're just a normal high school student. Like, no, they have a dark side to them, and now we're allowed to play with it because now in Maruki's palace, we're allowed to do that, and he's such a much more fun character because of it.
he's such an ass, and I love it.
What something you brought up was like how goofy Joker is, where he just stands there and doesn't say anything. When Akechi sets you up for the duel, and he takes off his glove and this bitch slaps you, you just stand there.
Oh my god, that was
Yeah, that
beautiful.
was the funniest thing. Beef, you've been pretty quiet. What do you think about Akechi?
I don't know if I have too much like different because again, like they said, yeah, like I think of Hoyo is especially where like it helps because before that I was like maybe like he's a little over the top, and I don't know why some people like obsessed with him when he's kind of just it kind of is out of nowhere that like he like goes psycho, which does I know I think that's like the point and that works well, but maybe that's why like I'm like it doesn't work as well for me, but I think it's definitely helped with Roy, like fleshing him out, and he like tags along with you, basically becomes one of the main people from Maruki's like palace. So I think that does help a lot.
This is gonna get into spoilers, but like we said, we've been spoiling everything. He's alive at the end of Royal.
Yeah,
How the fuck does that work?
That's something, huh?
that was
That's
that's
something
the
I don't think
weird
we'll ever get an
change.
answer to.
They're gonna
Yeah,
have to answer it at one point.
I think people thought they were with like a spin-off, but now it's been like 7 years already. Well, from Roy, it's only been like 4.
This is why we need
I'm
Persona 5 too.
Yeah, let's get
No.
that into them.
I'm not for. I mean, Strikers is effectively Persona 5 too. Like that is a
I
I
know.
mean,
continuation.
in a
But it
way,
doesn't-
yes, because it's a sequel to Vanilla, not Royal.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need the royal content that much. Like
No,
I
the
like
thing is,
it.
like, no, the royal content is very much the definitive version to play the game. But it's weird that Strikers is like the sequel to base Persona. When you explain this to somebody, you sound insane.
Yeah.
It's a weird
it's
timeline situation.
Well, the only reason is because Strikers and Royal content were developed at the same time, and it just sucks that it worked out that way.
The thing is that he's only alive in the royal edition. So
Yeah.
in the original timeline, he's still dead. He's very much dead. I don't
which
know. I
is
just
why
thought
which is why I'm assuming, because again we've talked about this before. There's like and people say it. There's like some things from Persona 3 that are like continued on in the spin-off. So
there
I'm
is.
assuming
Yeah,
that all
that's the
this
one
stuff
thing.
is it's either Atlas or some assholes and like not gonna answer all this stuff but keep teasing us, or they have to like eventually like give some closure. Because they can't be just teasing us. It's so weird to like do these things very intentionally and like for no reason.
I'm not gonna get into like the whole thing now, but there is very much an overarching plot from the end of P3, from all the games, all the spin-offs and everything, to that where we are now, involving Elizabeth and pretty much every single character. There's a big storyline being created in the background,
You have
and yeah,
such an obsession with this.
it's true because when
No,
you see it happening
it's
unfold, when you like, because you don't know what I'm really talking about. I just mention it. I haven't shown it to you. When you see everything, you're like, okay, wait a minute, what the fuck?
I'm
I
just
think
waiting for Dark to
personally,
just pull out the documents like, I got notes.
I mean, you told the
I
dude
will
beef. Is he crazy?
I will say it's actually not like super secret. Like it is like something
it's,
like if you've played 3
it's
and
in
like
your
all
face.
the
It's not like
spin-offs.
you don't have to look
It,
at everything.
yeah, like Elizabeth just keeps showing up. Like so it's not like this hidden thing and she tells you this stuff. Like you don't have to like go find it. So if
They
you
even mention
are
it in
like
P4. In base P4, they
yeah.
tell you like what's going on.
Yeah, so if you're like I say a big fan, if you're a pretty like dedicated fan, play all of them and like you'll notice. So no, it's not like some psycho thing. There is something going on.
I think personally that this could be a setup for P6, and there's a whole.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a video on this, and I'll
I was
explain
gonna
this
say,
in
like,
in
this,
depth.
well, the way you
This
keep
is very
talking
much.
about it, we need
Let's
to
get
make a
some
video out
content.
of this.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need
this
content.
is a pretty big thing. I do think this is set up for P6, and I think the reason why P3, like a big reason why it's being remade before P6, is because you need the context of what happens and Elizabeth specifically. But yeah, I think Akechi being alive would tie into that because in what I'm imagining and thinking, you would need every protagonist and every crew to be there.
It's the end game. We're reaching
And
end game levels of
as this
crazy.
just happened,
Fan
yeah, as this
service.
just happened, the answer was confirmed to be added later on as DLC for Persona 3, which kind of further proves
Breaking
the point.
news.
Which further proves the point that this could very well be a thing, because
Wait,
this
so
is all tied to the answer. The answer is the reason for all of this, by the way. It starts with the
Oh
answer and
god.
it's been continued. And
Now it
Jose,
sounds
we'll
crazy.
get into Jose in a bit. Jose is connected to this too.
No, not Jose. No.
So yeah, no, I really do love the confidants in Persona 5. Like that's definitely one of the things I enjoyed the most. that bro, Dark, whenever he talks about this theory, like I could see like red in his eyes, like the fucking calculations all circling around his head. Like I gotta
I'm gonna
talk
make a
about
video
this.
on this. I don't know when. Maybe after I finish P3, I'll plan out the video and I'll get like all the so you can see it on screen and everything. There's
Oh
this
yeah,
really
we can do
interesting.
footage and everything. We can make a whole
Yeah.
video out of this.
It's gonna be really interesting. I'll show you guys everything. But it's really cool. But yeah. What do you guys think about some of the other side characters? 'Cause we had yeah, Jose, Jose. What do you
Jose.
guys think of Jose?
yeah, probably. So Jose's funny because like I do remember because again I played base Persona 5 and hated Mementos in that game. And it's so funny. They added Jose and like they streamlined some things, and I'm like, yo, Mementos is fun as hell because I love going for these stamps and like this goofy ass like ticket system. Just seeing Jose and getting some items, like getting stronger. It's like I don't know. It's like a weird like mental thing of like really enjoying going through this endless dungeon now because there just seems to be more interesting things to do down there instead of just the same old crap every floor. Weird thing, I know, but yeah, I enjoyed Jose.
No, not even just like what were like all the other. But we only talked about like who we romance. What about the other characters of the game? Like who you like, who you didn't?
Yeah.
I like pretty much just everyone. I don't think there was a confidant I didn't like.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I
That's-
didn't do the politician because I couldn't get the fucking job at the restaurant.
I didn't get so the two people I missed was the politician and the kid in the arcade. I found out about the arcade after I beat the game. Like, there's a fucking kid in the arcade.
Yeah, me and Beef are the only ones who are real as
I
hell.
think
We
I
did all
I
the
did
confidants.
him. I didn't get very far with him. I got him
I-
to maybe like rank 3 or 4.
I've done everyone through several playthroughs. I'm trying to remember who's like the most useful. The most useless is the journalist, but people seem to
Yeah.
still like him.
I
But
dude, I do not like Oya. She is the only character I dislike.
she's
She's really
I'm like,
annoying. I
fine.
wasn't.
It's like I
Nah.
would like her
I don't
character.
hate her. She's
I
just
would-
So it's one of
there.
those things that she is like. I must sound terrible for a second. She's like a 7 compared to like a bunch of 10s. But everyone else's storyline and like the way that their character is a 10 out of 10, and then she's just like the 1, 7, or 8, just chilling there. You're like, I don't want to really mess with you. I got all these other options.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, overall, like, I think the like the non like main cast, like the side confidants, are better than 4, but there's still like some like who stand out way more than others.
I think Hifumi is definitely like
Hifumi's
the obvious.
Yeah,
one.
For me, is probably the best social link in the entire game.
She's her things you get from her are busted.
And she's just like genuinely like a
And she's
really
a good
strong
character, too.
storyline. Yeah, and I guess she's a good character.
Yeah, she's a good character too.
Yoshida, I love Yoshida. Like both of apparently, I'm crazy. One of the only people in the world that's done Yoshida. But
Because
no,
his starting thing was just so convoluted.
you work at a restaurant and then
Yeah,
you
and I
do
could
it a
never
couple
seem to get
times.
that job. I kept checking the job postings. I'm like, I want to go work at the beef restaurant, and it never worked. And then I
That's-
eventually just forgot about it and moved on.
I mean, fair enough. I think it's worth it because like he actually gives some really useful skills when it comes to negotiating with like enemies, like in a holdup, and also he's just like you can get like money and just keep begging for more and more money out of them, and like just get way like basically just infinite money out of that, and also like his whole storyline like is just this politician who wants to see change done, and like you grow with him. He learns as he goes. So you just kind of see that story blossom throughout, and see like it is kind of like wholesome to see like someone as old as Yoshida. He's like a 40, 50-year-old man, and he still has a lot of things to learn even from the youth. And I don't know, that storyline really hit for me.
That's the reason
I'll
why I need
get
to
to
do
him
my.
when I'm gonna replay through the games. I'll make sure I get his.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
for
I like. I need to do my new game plus run, and I'm gonna really try to get him this time.
He's not that
And also date
complicated.
Haifumi.
Yes, he's not that complicated. It's just everyone else is like pretty easy, and he has like 1 or 2
It's a comparison.
requirements.
Comparatively, it's kind of like a Persona 4 social link.
I was about to say it's like it's kind of like harkening back to what happened with all the Persona 4 ones.
We touched the part. Wolf brought this up earlier, but the dungeons. Let's talk about the dungeon in P5.
Oh my
Drastically improved.
Very much.
God.
I don't.
Man, this
Even,
is
that's
why-
like the dungeons of P4 are like my least favorite part of that game.
Yeah,
Same thing
it's
in
like
P3. It is very monotonous. The dungeons in P3.
yeah, I mean Persona 5 dungeons, like the fact that it's just like no procedural generation. These are like
These are
crafted,
thought out
handcrafted.
dungeons. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is like why I love dungeon crawling in games. It's just slowly getting your way higher, or in some cases lower, throughout this building, doing puzzles, doing traps, fighting like stronger and stronger enemies as you go through, slowly getting your own crew like up in the levels. And like just the like aesthetic design of this game, like we didn't really talk about it. The UI in Persona games is like the best in the business, and especially in 5, just the style is so radiant, where even just going into a menu, you're just like, fuck dude, this is like a magazine cover, just this menu. It is just something that Persona games have done better than every other like game in the genre, in gaming in general, just most games in general. And the dungeons really add to that aesthetic of the whole like look of the game.
Okay, look, I gotta get this off my chest. Who decided it was a good idea to turn into a fucking rat on the ship dungeon? I hated it.
Oh
Why?
my god. Yo, it lasts like 2 seconds. What the
No, it doesn't.
hater?
No, it doesn't. You turn
No,
into
you
a
just
rat
spent a good
4
time
different times.
dealing with that.
No, the
It's
line on your ass.
fun.
No, it's not.
It is
I
so
do
much
not like
fun.
being- No, it's not. I fucking hated that dungeon because of
You're
it.
not a Metal Gear fan like me. You didn't
play through the games and understand stealth like I did. And like
Stealth wasn't an issue. I like the stealth. I don't like being a rat.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for that dungeon. I'm like, bro, I'm a rat. This is awesome.
I gotta get
Again,
some cheese.
it is that hilariously obvious symbolism in a lot of Persona games. It's like, wow, Masayoshi Shido sees everyone as rats, and I'm like, that works on me. I'm like, yo, he's so cool. What a badass.
Yeah, it's the dungeons are definitely like the biggest upgrade probably from. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades, but it's like the most noble one that like yes, please keep with like the special dungeons because a lot of them like stand out so well.
Yeah, let me tell you how many times I got stuck and lost in Futaba's palace.
Look, some
I
I
liked
also
Futaba's Palace. That was
I liked
pretty
it, but
fun.
it was just
Yeah, I
confusing
love
as hell.
There's not
yeah,
really a
there
palace.
was
Sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say yeah, like also the space station on replays I don't like doing either. So there's some
Yeah.
where it's like a little annoying, but overall I still prefer it.
Can I be real? I like the Okumura's palace. I hate the boss at the end.
Yeah,
But like,
I
Oh
like
yeah, I
it.
forgot about that.
it's a good palace.
I
It's
boss
just
is
the
god
boss fight
awful.
that sucks.
I liked it on the first playthrough.
I don't know. It's like on the first playthrough, I just loved everything about the game, so it was just like whatever. Like everything was perfect. But like even on subsequent playthroughs, I'm like, I think people overreact about this place. Like it's not that bad. Like I have a good time going through it. If anything, I actually think I like it more than Futaba's Palace, where like I enjoy Futaba's Palace, but it's not one I think about.
Trying to think of all the other palaces. I like Yuki's palace.
Yeah,
That one's
that's a
pretty
good one.
fun.
Maruki was a pretty interesting one, especially with like a lot of those weird puzzles. The casino is the obvious like answer for one of the best. You can't really like go wrong with it. Just the music,
that
the
was just
vibe,
fun.
just it is. It really does feel like that semi-finale palace. I will say I don't like Deaths and Mementos. That palace sucked.
That's not even a palace, let's
Oh
be
yeah.
honest.
It is by definition. It's counted as one of the
By
palaces.
definition, compared to the depth of all the other palaces, it feels like a shoe-in. It feels like somebody did that last minute. If I do agree, I didn't like that one either. What else did we cover? Okay, yeah, this is something I wanted to bring up, as I mentioned it with Who I Romanced. I think the spin-offs do a lot for P5 in
Oh, yeah,
enhancing the
100%.
base P5 experience.
Because
I
it
mean,
lets you
I
spend
didn't-
more time with them, and that's the whole thing with Persona 5 is you want to be spending time
It
with these
ties
characters.
back into the game, and it's really weird. Because not all spin-offs do that, but I feel like, especially Tactica, I feel like Tactica did the best job out of it. I'm like, damn, I really like. I missed this crew. Even though it wasn't,
I miss my
been that long.
friends.
it was that feeling playing Strikers where I just sat there I'm like, damn, I just missed being with the squad. Like they have such a powerful dynamic together where it is kind of weird play. It is that longing feeling when you beat the game where it's just like this is such a great cast of characters that I let's just keep getting Persona 5 spin-offs till the end of time, you know. Let's
I'm
get
in. Let's go.
I would bring this up at the front. I think the Phantom Thieves themselves are so big. Because every Persona game, they're all connected. It's like it's one straight timeline, but one happens one after the. They're so big that P6, everyone in P6 is gonna know the Phantom Thieves because of what they did. That's just how it's gonna be. But also
I
on
mean,
top of that,
is it though?
no, they will.
I
They
mean-
will.
I feel like the Phantom themes were mostly a thing in Japan.
Yeah, but
And then,
granted,
like,
also
on
Persona
vacation.
6 is also going to take place in Japan, so
Yeah, it happened. But even when they went on
Hell,
vacation, they're like, hey,
do
yeah,
we
the
know
Phantom
that?
I mean, that's
If
pretty real.
I mean,
And
Infinite
it's not gonna
Wealth.
be in America.
Infinite Wealth decided to go to Hawaii. You know, let's get
Didn't we go
Persona
to
6.
Hawaii? And wait, where did we? Was it Hawaii?
It was
during the vacation time?
Hawaii. Yeah, the vacation.
Yeah, we did go to Hawaii.
What a
and
sake!
then-
What's up of sake in Hawaii? But
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing in Japan in general. Like Hawaii is kind of a big resort area, like a field trip type deal. Is to go to Hawaii, which is crazy. My field trips were we went to a fucking science museum. These motherfuckers
know,
go to
right?
Hawaii.
we went to a low budget ass water park.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. But no, I mean, like to get back on topic, like. Oh, what was the topic? We kind of got sidetracked with like
Spin-offs.
vacations.
They're
Spin
gonna
off
be
and how they
the
tie into the
Phantom Thieves
game.
are going to be well known.
Oh yeah, I mean, my viewpoint is like the whole point is that past Okubara's palace people just stopped caring about the Phantom Thieves, and I think that's gonna be like almost where Persona 6 lies, where the Phantom Thieves just aren't nearly as big as they once were. It's gonna be like a moment in history, but not something that's referenced and like, oh man,
Wait, that's
remember
what I
the
mean. I'm not
Phantom
gonna be
Thieves?
like, they're not gonna be like running around. I don't think, but I'd be like, hey, this thing happened, and they're gonna tie it back. Be like, this is pretty similar.
Oh, did you see the recently excavated data for Persona 5 beta where there was a bunch of P4 characters supposed to make appearances? Did you see that?
I didn't. I know
Yeah.
that Risei's on a poster.
There was recent poster, but there was a full model in the original beta build of Persona 5 that had a teenage grown-up Nanako, and she was supposed to make an appearance.
Oh, that would have been
I
really
honestly,
cool.
I actually like that they didn't do that. The people always talk about like, oh man, cut content. Why didn't they do this? It's like, well, it probably got cut for a reason because it just wasn't working. And it's like, I think that would have felt like unnecessary fan service in my opinion, where you don't need these characters to like
Yeah.
come
So
back.
while
Like
that's
Because like
let them
it's
true,
be
just interesting.
self-contained.
on the topic of this, Persona has a trend of doing things like this, where there is a character from a different game in each game, if that makes sense. So P3, you see, I think in P3, no, is it P4? No, P4, you see, Yosuke as a kid. I mean, Ryuji. You see Ryuji as a little
Yeah,
kid
there's
in a
that
yellow shirt.
supposed
That's
kid that's
like,
supposed
he's
to be
Ryuji. It's pretty clear he's Ryuji. And then in P4, you find some of the characters from P3. When you go to Gekkoukan High School, that's the same high school that whole thing took place on. So they love
It's
doing
in
things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something similar in P5 and we just haven't noticed it because we don't know anything about P6 yet.
No,
It's
what
just
we're
something
gonna
they like
see is
doing.
because the Phantom Thieves are kind of like celebrities. Like we're just gonna go into a gift shop and there's gonna be merch of the Phantom Thieves on the store shelves. I mean, that's kind of what happened in Strikers. Like we found out they kind of reached celebrity status. Like with the that girl, I can't remember her name now. That was the focus. But she was like a total fan of the Phantom Thieves, and she had like all the merch. Like this, they were
Yeah.
merchandising the hell out of the Phantom Thieves.
Who owns the merch of the Phantom Thief?
That's the problem. They weren't getting. Nobody of our group was getting a cent from all this merchandise.
It's all about the fame to Ryuji, you know? That's all he cared about. Did you real quick, were you guys like kind of annoyed by Ryuji whenever he did that? Whenever he was like, "We're the Phantom Thieves," or were you kind of endearing to it, where it's like, "Ah,
It was
Ryuji,
it was
oh,
endearingly annoying because that's like,
I was
oh,
like,
you're
yeah,
such a
same."
dumbass numbskull,
I
but
was
I
like, it's
love
the
you.
dumbass being a dumbass.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people like try to go back. It's like that was so annoying. It's like, come on, guys. It's just a dumbass. That's all it is. I will say
I mean,
one scene, kind of off topic. I really hate that scene after the Shido's palace, where Ryuji literally saves everyone's lives and they get mad at him. And I know everyone talks about that. But it's like it's such a weird moment where like, why? This is like this guy just saved y'all's lives and you're just beating him up.
I mean, I get
well,
why
because
too.
I mean, I get why because they all thought he was dead, and like you should have done this like 2 minutes sooner when you should have made yourself known that like, hey, you're still alive. We all thought you were dead. Like you just saved us, and we realized, oh wow, you're like a really close friend to us, and we were sad that you're dead. Like, well, no, you're alive, asshole. You should have done that sooner.
Yeah, but it's so aggressive to just straight up beat his ass. Because also he didn't know. He just woke up. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like he decided to make himself
I think that's like the
known.
joke of it, but there's always that like one scene in every game I'm starting to realize. It was that for the Persona 5. In Persona 5 Strikers, there's this really out of character moment with Makoto.
Oh, that
And
was so dumb.
and so it's I don't think Tactica had anything like that. I
Tactical
don't
breaks the fourth wall. That's what it does. It breaks the fourth wall like 10 times.
does
Whenever
it?
there's a
It's like,
hot spring scene in a Persona game, it's just like, oh, there's gonna be some unfunny writing coming up.
so the thing with Persona 5 Tactica is really Futaba who breaks the fourth wall. And she was like, oh, we're gonna have a boss fight coming up. And she starts like stuff like that.
Yeah, but
But
that's
I'm
her
trying to
gamer
think of
talk
That's her.
though.
She's
no,
a
but,
gamer.
she starts doing it like more and more, like to the point like, okay, wait a minute. And there was also a moment with Morgana and Joker where they're having a conversation and they were saying how they're kind of ready to hang it up. Like it's time for somebody else to kind of take the mantle. They want to go on vacation. That was very much them saying, yeah, we're done with the
Granted,
P5 cast for
can
that.
that also just be a reference to Strikers?
Not really.
Because this takes place during the original Persona 5 timeline, and Strikers is later, and they're on vacation during
No, it
that
takes place
time.
during Royal.
Yeah, it takes place in like in between the Christmas, like after you defeat Yalbadoth, but before all the royal content.
This takes place in
Yaldabaoth.
Royal because the DLC, this lady's in it. But it very much felt like a pseudo commentary doing like, hey, we're kind of done with the P5
Yeah, I
cast
think
for
it,
now.
I
We're
think it
ready
was
to
meant to
hang
be.
it up to somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a double meaning. Like, yeah, it's referencing being done with the Persona 5 crew, but also the fact, hey, let's go on vacation, and hey, that's a reference to Strikers.
Look, you overanalyze everything. Like, does the
That's just my thing.
does the lady at the sandwich shop? It's like, have a nice day. It's like, oh, she's into me.
She
Not like
knows
that.
too much.
Bro, no, I don't know. I don't think of it as much crazy thing, especially with Futaba. Like her whole thing is just being a gamer. I don't really think of it as like anything more than that.
Yeah, I mean, she referenced it in the original game. She makes those kind of comments. So yeah, it's meta breaking, but it's also like, yeah, you're a game. She's a gamer. She's gonna make gamer puns that we get to the
Yeah,
that's gonna
she's just
apply
like
to
me
the
for real.
video game that we're playing.
And then, bringing it full circle, the music of P5. What do you guys think?
Oh, 10 out of 10.
I mean, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's like top 5 OSTs in gaming of all time.
It's in my
without
regular
question.
This is the
playlist.
most bombastic out of the entire series. It is very in your face, very loud.
It sounded good.
Yeah, for me, my favorites are Takeover, obviously.
Yeah.
Life Will Change, obviously. Rivers in the Desert, and honestly, Arc, which is the Shido's theme, the Palace theme.
You really love
Okay.
Shido, don't you?
He's awesome. What are you talking about? He has this fucking cruise ship. Oh my god, come on. What is this?
I also support your list, and then I'll also throw in I Believe and Throw Your Mask
Oh, yeah.
Away.
I love I Believe. What about you, Beef?
Yeah, those are good. Also, I like both the intros for both Royal and Vanilla. I can't think of the song names, but yeah, all of them are good. It's probably my favorite one. It definitely has like the most like soundtracks I put on my playlist, so it's definitely like up there. It's especially fun now, like seeing like all the almost annoying jokes about like how like oh it's Persona invented jazz, but like I kind of get it. Like it's definitely like
It
up there,
popularized
like
jazz.
It popularized
Yeah.
jazz to like this
Shut up.
generation of gamers.
Sure. Well, that probably is true, but yeah, it's just interesting. Like, it's definitely what I think what people think of when they think of like gay music. You'll just listen to like on their phone, or, like anywhere. Like that's definitely like up in that tier.
And then, just final thoughts on P5?
I mean, it's the number 7 game of all time for me. Like, I don't have much else to say.
Number one
Yeah,
game for me.
It's a 10 out of 10. Like, I don't really
I just don't
think
know if any game will ever
it's-
top it for me.
It's just, to me, it's like the peak of that genre for me. Like, it means a lot to me and kind of like helped me break out of my shell and wanting to be more out active and talk to people more. It was very important for that regard.
You want to
And,
go start
yeah.
social links with people.
Exactly. I want to start some sort of like confidants. It's like, damn, maybe confidants are helpful.
Yeah, it's definitely it's of them like in the series. It's probably it was, and I think it's still even after P3 Reload might be the easiest one to recommend to people, just because of like how modern it is, and like even with Reload, I
It's the
still
most
think like
expressive.
yeah, and like like people are right. There was like so much like you don't get a lot of games that like even the menus like we've said like are like going that hard. So it's just very easy
I
to
mean, 3
recommend.
Reload does that now, but
Yeah,
even with the remake, the dungeon crawling is still dated.
yeah, that's the one thing that I think might like hold people off. So I
Rat
think
or not, 5 lets
yeah,
you much better dungeons.
The hard part with
Yeah.
recommending 5 is just that length.
The thing with
which is
P5
like
too, they're like the game even tells you during the loading screen, this is take your time. You don't have to be
Oh,
like
yeah,
me
we
and
talked
let's do the
about that
game in
earlier.
like 60, 70 hours, or however long it took.
Yeah, did you smell the roses, Dirk? Were they like, all right, we need to go to the next house? Like, nope, I'm not hanging out with you bums. I'm going right into the next house.
You can't even do that. There's on a calendar system.
Oh
You
yeah,
go
I
to
always
sleep
waited.
every night.
I always waited till like pretty much the last day to do the
I
palaces.
did them really early.
Of course you did.
Yes, Sam. No, honestly,
Then
I did the same thing. I like getting
did
it
them
out of the
early,
way.
and then I was hanging out with everybody.
I think yeah, I
'Cause if
do
you-
like do it earlier. That's what I usually do.
Yeah, because if you don't do it earlier, like the whole month,
Kinda
like
like
you're
the
just trying to live your life, and they're just
Yeah.
like, guy, we gotta go get the treasure. It's like, shut up. Oh, jeez.
I didn't like being rushed to do things. I just got it out the way. But moving, looking to the future and everything. What does this series mean to you, if anything? I know it's a weird question, but I think this is one of those series where this question is valid.
Teary-eyed saying that one.
Yeah, okay.
What does this mean to you guys.
You know what? Okay, let's you just get you first.
I don't know. I've said it before. Like it's a really important, like specifically Persona 5. I do love 4, but like 5 is very important to me. Like helping me like want to explore like the world more, wanting to explore my relationships with friends more. Like it's a very powerful message of like helping you want to talk to people and live life to its fullest rather than waste away. And I find it as a very like influential message just to a lot of like young teenagers out there who are kind of stuck in a rut. I don't really like. To me, it's like as a franchise when it comes to JRPGs, like Persona is kind of on that top of the heap. Like I don't really think there's many other JRPGs that are on that level. But no, I do absolutely love this franchise, and I think I'm very excited to see what they do next.
What about you, Beef?
Yeah. As for me, I think yeah, like kind of similar for it. I don't know, like as a franchise, like it just means like I'm always looking forward to it. It's one I like recommend to a lot of people. I don't know like how much they affect me personally. I think 3, which I like everyone else, it's always your first one. 3 was like the important one because like I don't know if there was like a game beforehand where it's like afterwards I was like you guys say, like I'm gonna miss these characters. Like they really do a well job. Like the one games I'm like, yeah, they're long, but they do kind of do well with that, like to really make you like feel like these are friends. So I think that's like the important thing of is like it was like the first time I was like, man, I'm gonna miss these. I actually really like these characters more than like, you know, they're not just like people on the screen. They are like doing a very good job of like making me like think about them and like what they're going through. It's pretty good.
How about you, Moon?
As I said when I talked about my history with the franchise, Persona 5 does mean a lot to me in a lot of ways. A lot of things changed in my life and about me personally after I played it. I won't go like into too much detail, but when I'm looking at my life now, a lot of the things I'm doing outside of this podcast and gaming in general kind of all stems from me playing that and me experiencing that. So I do owe it that. I do owe the game a lot because of that, and makes me think like, my life might actually be pretty different if I didn't play this game. And so I'm happy to keep continuing with the franchise that's still going. P4 was great. P3 Reload's gonna look great, and we got a lot to look forward to with P6 and hopefully some more spin-offs. So yeah, it's great that Persona 5 is like this top tier game that most people can agree on is a top tier game, but then it also has this like personal attachment to for me. So it's like I don't think any game is probably going to be top. And it's like P6 could blow it out of the water, like technically, visually, story wise, and all that. And I'll probably still prefer Persona 5, but because of those reasons. But yeah, this has now joined my echelon of like this is a franchise I hold very high. Like just looking above my computer screen right now where I'm sitting recording this podcast, there's my poster of all the Phantom Thieves, and I have all the English dub voice caster actors signed on. The only one I'm missing is Matt Mercer, who played Yusuke. That's literally the only person I'm missing. Because the
Matt
man does
Mercer's an anomaly, man. Like that man
he
is in everything.
he's in everything, and he's so damn talented. And he doesn't do convention appearances because I'm guessing because he's so busy.
He's too rich. He's like, I don't need to go to a convention.
I don't need to do that. It's like, um, so yeah, this is the one thing that will like if you want to hear me get weirdly personal, this is the franchise you bring up. So I won't go too much into it. Let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah, just to wrap things up for me, this series is about learning to be yourself and accepting that, and it helped me a lot as well. I'm not gonna get into the finer details of it, but it is an important series, and I do think that this series can help people when you least expect it. Moving on from that though, what do you guys think of them remaking older titles? Like they just did P3, and it looks incredible when you compare it to what was before. But what do you think about them doing that with like 1 and 2, and or maybe like Persona 4?
I mean,
Or Persona 5.
It does not need a remake.
I mean, I'm all for more Personas, more Persona. It'd be great to see the origins of this franchise, especially if they could modernize a lot of things, maybe tie it more into the overall story. Because who knows, during those years, were they thinking of these connected games like they are now? At least according to Dark's theory that we need to hear that it's all really connected.
But it's not just being Beef confirmed this.
And yeah,
It's also very important. It's a good like kind of like middle step because like these Persona games take so fucking long to develop. I mean, you look at Persona 4 to Persona 5, like that was 2008 to 2016. So
Yeah.
an almost 10-year development cycle
And
for
we're
those
coming
two
up
games.
almost on that for Persona 5 to Persona 6 as well. Like if you look at vanilla Persona 5, we're coming up on like what, 8, 9, 10 years now?
Yeah, it's gonna be 8 years this year.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
it's
gonna be
rumored.
Probably 9 by the time Persona 6 comes out.
It's rumored that Persona 6 is either late next year or 2026 will make it 9 to 10 years.
yeah, it's gonna be what's gonna happen. Persona games always get delayed. It's gonna be scheduled for late next year, and then delayed.
2026.
Yeah, but no, I mean these remakes are very good, like supplementary material, where it's like, hey, here's something like to tide you over until we get to Persona 6. I imagine Persona 4 is something they want to do just because it is so popular. I think that's just an easy seller. But maybe in the future we eventually get Persona 1 and the two Persona 2s, which I don't even want to try to get into, but we
And
don't
to
need to
explain
get
that
into
to
that.
people
Hey,
is
so-
insane.
it's not that insane. It's a little insane. I guess for me, I'm grateful they did 3. You know, not just for me who likes it, but it's really nice to not have to. When people are like, oh, how should I play Persona 3? Be like, all right, so you're gonna need 2 games actually if you want to get everything, and one is on the PS2, and one's a portable visual novel thing. So I'm glad they did that, and of course I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think me the one I would look forward to the most, like especially as like a gap between new installments, is 1 and 2 because man, those are ancient and I can never get into them when I play them. So yeah, I'd be looking forward to those. And yeah, I would even play a 4 remake. I think it holds up pretty well, but you know, more Persona is more Persona, like Moon said. So I'll take it.
You know what's funny is when you think about it, if they do go and remake 1 and 2 to make them modern, that would make the entire franchise a very modern thing except for Persona 4. Like you would have 3 Reload, you have 5 being the standard, you have 1 and 2 being remade. That just leaves 4 as like this ancient relic. So it's like you might as well remake 4 to make every single Persona game like modernized.
Yep. And just to wrap things up personally, if you can add one thing, just one thing, just to keep it simple, to Persona 6, what would it be?
Cars. I want to drive. I
We're
want to drive it.
teenagers, we can't drive.
Well, that's okay. Well, that's the thing. I would like it to be set in college, just a different setting. I think that'd be cool. Like just it's nothing. It's not like, oh man, I hate the high school setting. I think it works for what the games are doing, especially with the themes of like adolescence growing up and all that. But I think you could still do that with a college setting. Now, granted, maybe it's something they tried in the past. Like I know Persona 1 and 2 are a college setting. Maybe it's just
So
something where it's like
the
people just aren't
second
as interested.
the second Persona 2 game is a fully adult cast, and the story deals with
The
what it means to be an
second
adult.
Persona 2 game. I
A
Yeah,
second
it's
percent. It's like Wolf's worst nightmare of a sentence.
Dude, that's like one of my biggest pet peeves. If you say second Persona 2 game, it's like I'm never playing this game.
the weird thing is, it sounds crazy, but you understood what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, I know, and I hate it. It's like some Kojima stuff.
But yeah, I agree. I feel like you can, even if you don't make the whole cast adults, you can throw in more adults in the main party.
I mean, that's what
Yeah,
they did with
Tesla Strikers.
Persona 5X. They have a couple adult characters.
That's
Oh
true as
yeah,
well.
there's like that retired mom something.
Yeah, there's like a
That's
old she's like a retired model or something.
That's
like
heinous that
stay-at-home
game
mom.
is stuck in China.
We need it
Like,
over here now.
Like, yeah, give me Persona Gotcha. I don't give a fuck. Beef, do you have one?
Yeah, yours is pretty good. I think most people like a college setting would still work. So I think that's a good one. For me, now Wolf, I'm gonna need you to stick with me with this. I think we should like add maybe a few more gear, and we know maybe buy those with 8 currencies, maybe 9, maybe a battle pass we could input into
Okay,
the game.
okay.
No.
You said gear, and I was like,
I'm
oh, like
looking for
slots. Okay, make it more
I'm looking
combat
forward to
focused.
Persona live service.
some seasonal content. We could keep adding new characters. Wolf would
If
love
you're a
Oh,
this.
Persona fan,
yeah,
or, like,
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah, if you're a Persona fan, you already clicked off the video hearing that.
Look, I'm supposed to be the live service consultant, okay? I
Yeah,
don't know
That
if
is
I
tell her to
have
stay
crazy.
anything.
away.
Look,
We
it
brought
was
this
either
man in
that,
as a live service consultant. I'm so
it
sorry
was
for that, Beef.
it was either that, or I was gonna make a joke about like just making it Dark Souls combat, which I know Wolf would
Dude,
approve of,
okay,
but
hang on. that would just make Persona my favorite game of all time.
I mean, Strikers is kind of close.
No, that's like
Yeah.
This is
Dynasty
Warriors.
It's
Yeah.
Warriors, but I mean, when you get to the boss fights, they're kind of like Dark Souls bosses in some ways.
I always make this joke, but I also think it's not a joke. If every game had Sekiro combat, then every game would be the greatest game ever made. Like that's all you have to do.
Yeah, it feels sacrilegious to say, oh, we can get rid of Persona's combat. You know, spin-off, I'll take it. An experiment, I'll take that. I take it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we got Strikers. That's how we got Tack together, and they're
Yeah.
allowed to spin off into other genres. Kind of going into that,
I'm sorry,
I
Moon,
think-
before you go in,
Oh.
I know you don't like Souls games. Would you play a Persona Souls game?
I'd at least give it a try.
That'd be funny.
Yoshido's gonna be the final boss. Wolf's gonna be like going crazy.
Yo, he needs to be up on his lion.
It's gonna be
Dude,
insane.
I would oh man. I'm sorry to cut you off though, man. Go ahead.
I don't want them moving away from like the turn-based combat because that's just what it is, and it works, and they do it really well. But I think maybe it's just because I have Like a Dragon Yakuza on the brain, but the way they do turn-based combat in that, where it's in like an active battlefield, like people are
yes.
constantly moving around, that would be kind of cool to see in a Persona like setting. Like everyone's moving around, doing their moves, and all the enemies, like you're circling them instead of everyone just standing still in one place. I think that would be kind of cool just to flare it up a little bit, but I doubt they do that.
Action commands where like, oh, if you press triangle at the right time. I mean, like they're very like what's it called? Stuck in their ways. That's not like stuck in their ways. That's a harsh way to say it, but like they're very much like want to stick
They know
to
what they're
like,
doing.
what's
They
worked.
know what they're doing. They're only going to do that.
Yeah, and they,
Yeah,
they
I mean,
know it works.
They're learning
and it
too,
works.
because Metaphor has been improving the turn-based system, and I'm sure Persona 6 is doing the same thing.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's like I'm kind of fine with just Persona turn-based combat. Like it works. Like
Yeah,
I
it works.
enjoy it a lot. Like,
Oh yeah, it does, but
especially in
they
the high
always nice when they add more things to it, like Metaphor, where weaker
For sure.
enemies is like an action game. And you know, for me, it's only fitting if I say that Persona 6 has to be the fucking storyline of Elizabeth that they've been setting up for years.
Dude,
Man, I need
my
to play
man.
Persona 3 and learn about this Elizabeth.
I want you to
Elizabeth
know
is amazing.
when his theory doesn't work, he's gonna say Persona 6 was a disappointment.
No, I'm not. No, so there's either two in my head. There's two. Persona 6 is either gonna be its own thing. It's not gonna be connected whatsoever. And I'm fine with that. A new Persona gonna be hype. But if it is what I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna be so fucking. You will
It's
He's
not
going to be
hear
like,
that
I
other-
called this 10 years ago.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. You wanna wrap it up for us, Moon?
Yeah, I was actually going to say something else, but now it's completely gone. Oh, well. This is not the last time we're going to be talking about Persona, so we'll
We
talk
will
it
be
more in
back.
other videos. We'll be back for most likely a Persona 3 Reload Food Coma, as well as Dark's crazy conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
So
that
look
video
forward
will
to those
come out
videos.
probably after the Fucom. I'll let people play it. Get some people on board who played all 3 games.
No, bro's gonna force me out there. He's like,
Yes.
no, I'm sitting you down for this one.
Yep.
You're going to
I
listen
gotta
to
get
my
people
theories.
on board.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this long rant about the Persona franchise. Let us know which Persona game is your favorite in the comments below, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And we will see you guys on our regular shows, like A Slice of Gaming, uploaded every Saturday morning, Slice of Anime every Thursday every other Thursday in the morning, as well as our shows like Food Coma and Meal Prep. So be sure to check all those when you subscribe. Have a good night, everyone.
Peace out,
Persona.
guys.
Like,